God damn it. I can't believe it still happened. Jeez. You know, this happens sometimes. Oh man, that was rough. My power just went out. It is what it is. Can't stop me this time. Or I'll. You guys can listen to Specialist. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna get some water, and I need to feed my cat because he's freaking out. Pins, come on. God damn it. I still can't believe that just happened. That was rough. You know, I think that I mean it makes sense, you know? That video I think the other stream was going too good. I think the other stream had way too little scuff. It doesn't really represent what this year has been, you know? We needed something like this to happen. In fact, Zeus did me a favor. You know? Yeah, I'm saying it. Hey there. Hi.
How's it going, bros? My name is
Dio! He shows up in all my spirit photos!
For over half a decade now, I've played a number of different gacha games, from the highs of Fate Grand Order Story to the lows of Fire Emblem Heroes Power Creep. Well, I don't know how many of you were. I assume that most of you were here before. I think that like killed all the viewership for this. No one knows the thing. Anyway, yeah, we're back. This is from the whatchamacallit video. The whatchamacallit movie. Movie. So very good. I am by no means a stranger to this industry anymore, and after all that time, I can confidently say that I enjoy these little gambling addictions. Or at the very least, they have killed my ability to feel real joy, and I've forgotten what it feels like. Either way, I don't really regret the time or money I've spent with these games. But there has been one thing. That was a kind of a cute joke. Time or money. gacha game characters, the person that died.
Money I've spent with these games.
Good.
But
So,
there has
keeping with
been
the
one
puns.
thing that's been on the back of my mind for quite a while now. Do I enjoy these games because they're gacha games, or despite that fact? I'm sure every gacha veteran has at least one good memory somewhere where against all odds they rolled that one waifu they had been saving for. And in that moment, a rush of dopamine hit your brain and it felt
You also took a 5-month break before we were watching that.
amazing. But hitting a jackpot on a slot machine does not a good game mechanic make. Is it all smoke, psychological manipulation, and mirrors, or is there really something more than just gambling? Is gacha a good video game mechanic?
You serious?
No, Crap Rate did not kill that last stream. What happened was that my power went out. The same thing that happened Monday when I was going to stream, not Monday, Tuesday when I was going to stream FGO. My power's been on the fritz recently and I'm not sure why.
Alright, look, I'm going to give one good reason why I think gachas can have a positive effect on the game that they're in. But I don't want that positivity to give the wrong impression. As they are commonly used today in the games that we often call gacha games, they really only serve as a way for developers.
Aho Girl was a hell of a show. This show made no sense. This show was a little bit too dumb.
That positivity to give the wrong impression. As they are commonly used today in the games that we often call gacha games, they really only serve as a way for developers to psychologically strong-arm players into spending more money. This is just one of the many variety of tactics such as the fear of missing out on limited units, the incentive to roll for dupes of high-rarity characters, and the never-ending incline of power creep that gacha game devs.
There's the cast story I mentioned. You can tell that I'm back in playing FGO after the FGO video because I'm mentioning Castoria. This is when I found out that Castoria was a thing.
Will often use in an attempt to drain as much money as possible from their usual players and hopefully draw in a large spender that the industry calls a whale. This is the cold hard truth of this industry, and even though, all jokes aside...
Was that a good kind of no sense or a bad kind of no sense? Both. So Aho Girl literally means stupid girl. It was just a stupid show about a stupid girl. Like that's the whole show. It's a comedy show.
I still find a ton of enjoyment in these games. I feel like this needed to be said, even if it gets me disliked. With that being said, there is a single highlight to having a gacha in a game that I've never really seen anyone mention before. So let's move on to the true title of this video, the one thing that I like about gacha as a video game mechanic. See, that one's just not as mysterious. Customization has always been one of this genre's strong suits. Every one of my gacha game accounts really feels like my account.
God, I was just so wrong on this. I don't understand. This is the worst take.
Not everyone who has downloaded Fire Emblem Heroes has had the pleasure of rolling Soleil, and even out of those that did, I doubt anyone has her at plus 10 merges with these specific skills in this specific team. Whether it's through unit customization, team building, or just how exactly you beat a given stage, you are unique. A special little...
I had to re-download fucking Fire Emblem Heroes for that bit. That was awful. Why'd you change your mind on Best Girl so sharply? Because I rolled Michael. I had liked Michael beforehand, but I could not roll Michael at all. So I was stuck with Sariel, and like Sariel's good. Sariel's great. I don't think that Sariel's a bad unit. She's obviously not a bad unit. She's also not a bad character, but I just like Michael a lot more. I couldn't say what I was thinking. You know, I had to hold my power level back.
Addicted snowflake. To add to this variety, most gachas do a good job at allowing players to use any unit they want to clear content, allowing for a ton of player choice in regards to how players play the game. A big reason for this is that gachas, by design, require a long list of bad, low-rarity units, especially at the game's launch. Unlike low tiers in other games, which are usually made with viability in mind,
It's a really blurry tier list.
low-rarity gacha units are specifically made so that they can be used in the early game due to their cheap investment cost, and then dropped as soon as the player can afford to use higher rarity units. That, paired with gacha's never-ending need to release new units, means that these games' rosters are absolutely massive. As a side note, this system is also a godsend for people that actively enjoy using bad things in video games. I, of all people, would know as a Blitz, Master Yi, Scholar, Mirage, Mastima enjoyer.
What can I say? I have good taste. No?
That's my character. I'm the trash man.
And it's important to remember that unlike something like the story or the gameplay, the gacha is a unifying factor in creating this customization. You can feel the effects that it has from the very start of the game. If you and a friend start the same gacha at the same exact time, you're likely going to have
Imagine if all those units were combined into one. Holy shit. I kid you not, I only started playing Valorant really, like, recently because of the Yoru rework. Because he's like, whatchamacallit, he's very similar to, Yoru is very similar to Mirage, who, very good. I can't believe, would play Master Yi. If it makes you feel any better, I don't play, I have never once played the Lethality Master Yi. I only play Attack Speed Master Yi.
Of different characters, and those different characters
Lethality Master Yi was a mistake.
Are going to cause you to have wildly different experiences. While skill can play a big part, the stages you struggle on and the stages that you breeze through can be heavily impacted by who you pull on the starter banner. This is probably why reroll culture, a topic for another video entirely, is so prevalent within basically every gacha. What all of this leads to is the creation of little stories that make your playthrough of a game feel unique. Maybe one of those low-tier units saved your ass in the early game, or maybe you gave a character a try because you rolled them and it turns out you really like them. A personal example of this is that I had a hell of a time dealing with drones and Arknights. For those that don't know, these little flying jerks can't be hit by most units in the game, and you usually have to rely on units that are in the sniper class to deal with them. Due to some extremely unfortunate luck, I did not have a single high-rarity sniper.
When's the reroll video? I don't know if I have anything interesting to say about it. I don't know if I have anything interesting to say about rerolls, so that's the problem. Like, I think I usually only make a video if I think that I have something interesting to say about it that people want to listen. And my hot take on rerolls is that they're probably bad, and if the game is going to even remotely allow you to reroll, then they should probably just allow you to choose what 6-star you're starting with, or choose what SSR you start with. I don't know. That's just my take.
Sniper for
it won't stop re-rolling because there are games that already exist, and then people will still just re-roll so that they can get 2 6-stars. But I don't know. It's inevitable.
months of starting this game. It's not like I couldn't clear maps with drones in them, it's just that all I had was and Meteor, both of which I didn't really like the designs of. However, if I was ever going to beat maps like this one, I was going to need to invest in them.
Choice takes away the gambling dopamine. True.
As me and these two continued to struggle against maps like this, my opinion of them slowly began to improve. Currently, they're not my favorite units, nor are they my favorite snipers. But me, this horse, and this mistake had been through war together, stared death in the face and laughed. I have so many memories of my opinions on a character being changed due to the nature of when or if I rolled them. And it's that spontaneity that makes my attachments to these PNGs feel just a little bit more real. In real life, you don't have a list of who and when you're going to meet new people so that you can plan out the optimal friend path.
Would this be based or cursed, by the way? Me and my friend group had a debate about this a little bit. Would it be based or cursed if you had a list of... you didn't know the future. You just knew all the people that you would meet. And so you'd be able to optimize trying to make friends with those people. What a weird fucking concept I came up with. Optimal friend path. True, yeah. Sounds like an anime plotline. I got Exu for my first role and decided to make her my entire personality. Yeah. No, I still, like, unbased. This idea was something... So this video, by the way, is I think, like, the type of content that I'm going to make mainly moving forward, maybe with like a little bit more jokes, but weird videos on shit that no one cares about, but to me is super based. Like the idea that the only real good thing about gacha is that when you're put into like a roguelike situation, you can become really attached to certain things that only you're attached.
Friendship often just happens because you were in the same place at the same time. Even though I do think the abundance of these moments is caused by the gacha, I don't think that it's by any means unique to this genre. I heavily assume that anyone who has played a Pokemon Nuzlocke or even a game like Darkest Dungeon probably understands exactly what I'm trying to describe. I personally still remember the time that my Wooper and a Nuzlocke lived at 1 HP, twice in the same gen.
Can we get some F's in chat for Zaindom? And we've watched the Soul Lock that's currently on hiatus. F's in chat. I love Wooper so much. And this is why I said during the Soul Lock that I really like Quagsire because of Nuzlocks, and this is what I was talking about. When I was doing a Soul Silver Nuzlocke, for the first time, I had a Wooper who survived Whitney's gym at 1 HP 2 times. Holy shit. This Whooper, I will always remember this Giga Chad Whooper. Before Whooper went hollow. Yeah.
Gym battle. Those months where Saber Lily was my only gold saber. Or the fact that this Hot Topic disaster finally helped me beat the final boss. Even in gachas I don't play anymore, games that I have long since deleted from my phone, these little personal moments will remain.
Did you know that because of a specific art post, Acid Drop temporarily became the most popular operator art? Is this a really cursed fact? What do you mean by most popular? Is this cursed? This better not be cursed.
An uncountable number of reasons. Some people want to explore the fantastical worlds of RPGs, while others are more at home with the minute-to-minute gameplay of first-person shooters. A select few people even still claim to enjoy League of Legends. And despite what some have said, there is no correct way to enjoy a video game. What this pretentious paragraph is trying to get at is that this is one of the big reasons why I play gachas. Even though I don't think it makes up for the psychological manipulation, I highly value customization in games. But everyone is going to have their own reasons for spending their time in the way that they do. When all is said and done, I think there's really only one thing about the gacha that we can all agree on. Rate Up always has and always will be a complete lie.
Oh man, FGO. I don't understand. Why are there so many? And you can tell I got back into FGO during this video because fucking the Mama Nova banner. Fuck, dude. It's coming back in May. Round 2 is coming back in May, but I have to save for Castoria. And it's gonna be rough. Wait for round 2, Mama Nobu. I'm coming for you. Fucking Osakaba here, man. This video is pretty based. This video is just like fine. I think it's solid B. Nothing too special about it. I think it's just solid B. Ah, yes.
Thing I say with a great. Where did all the visual novels go? Visual novels have always been a weird genre of games. What I assume is due to their simplicity, they've been around for forever, and yet they've never really broken into the mainstream in the same way that other niche topics such as anime or other genres of games eventually did.
In case you're just random note, going into this video took me 3 weeks to make, in case you're curious. From the very start with like research and scripting, all the way to like all of the editing stuff that I do, this video took me 3 weeks to make.
In a world where even my grandma knows what Call of Duty and
it's only 15 minutes long.
Punch Man are, VNs
almost
seem almost like a relic of the past. A reminder.
Oh, very well hidden DeVito, by the way, over here. Very well hidden DeVito, if I do say so myself.
Of what once was instead of what still could be. I mean, just take a look back at the 90s and mid-2000s to see my point. Internet forums used to be filled with talks of Steins Gate, Ace Attorney, Higurashi, Muv-Luv, and Fate Stay Night for crying out loud. Today, while yes, Ace Attorney is still going strong doing the same exact thing, all of the other series I just mentioned either abandoned the medium or faded away entirely. And what of their
give me 1 second. I'm back.
Successors, the heirs to this once forgotten yet grand kingdom.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
On a side note, what the fuck has been happening with KFC recently? That company's gone insane. Wait, there's a Muv-Luv gacha? I did not know there was a Muv-Luv gacha. And also, yes, I have been putting Danny DeVito hidden in all of my videos.
Now, that example was a little bit uncharitable towards modern visual novels. There have been at least a few genuinely good and breakout VNs in the last decade.
Where is it? Where's the sequel? What's it called? I even forgot the name of it because it's been so long. It's not Valhalla. It's there's supposed to be a sequel for Valhalla, and I want it so bad. KFC console Ifrit skin. Valhalla was so good.
But I love you.
It's called Nirvana. Yes. God. It's been in development for so long.
Colonel Sanders is emblematic of what I think has been a growing trend within the genre. That being the oversaturation of jokes, low-end dating sims, and that weird shit that Steam won't stop recommending me at 4 a.m.
Who to fix Titan Dash? Whoa.
The question of why, or maybe even if this is happening, has been something that's on my mind for a while now. Usually genres don't just fade away or die, they disappear for a reason. So maybe visual novels had some fatal flaw that doomed them to irrelevance.
Oh, and in case you don't, this is another sign. This is gonna be a lot. There's gonna be a lot of me pausing in this video. I know that. This right here, this visual novel is called World End Economica, and if any of you are Spicy Wolf fans, which I assume a decent amount of you are, World End Economica, which you can buy on Steam, is made by the same author, is written by the same author as Spice and Wolf. It's a future where it's like a hyper capitalist future where the super rich have gone to Mars and live on and not Mars, the moon. The super rich live on the moon in their own like a super rich biodome. And it's pretty good. If it's not AI the Cyberpunk, this is our Zero Escape. I'm incapable of reading. I mean, those are two good games, so it is what it is.
Or maybe I'm the one missing something. Are visual novels a dying genre? And if so, why? Before we embark on this journey together, I want to be transparent. Most of this video is conjecture. It does pain me to say that, considering that I've now done a hilarious amount of research on this topic, but as it turns out, trying to find conclusive and, most importantly, English research on porn games is harder than I originally thought.
I get it.
I don't get it.
So, as usual,
I tried so hard, by the way, to find like actual data that I could stick behind. And it just doesn't exist across the whole entire industry of visual novels. It's so rough to try to find actual data. Like I am basing this off of like some data that I was finding. But like actual data that is reputable, that can be backed up by actual numbers that are being sourced somewhere, that is in English, was so impossible to find on this topic.
take everything I say with a grain of salt.
Good night, Carl.
Unfortunately for me, the first section of this video is also the one that would benefit the most from hard data. That being the section where I try to convince you that graphs go like this. Let's start off by trying to clear something up. Dying is a term that, while good for a YouTube title, brings with it a lot of connotations. This is especially true in the video game industry, where a new game appears to be dying every hour on the hour. The real answer that I'm trying to find is, have visual novels been on the decline? And while most of my sources had some level of conflicting information, one thing that they could all seemingly agree on are that visual novels are not as well off as they used to be during the early to mid-2000s. Multiple big-name companies within the industry, such as Minori or Light, have gone bankrupt within the last couple years. This isn't to mention that it's been quite a while since the industry has had a new major hit, leaving only nostalgia for the older series to carry the genre.
It is just really rough looking at the current state of visual novels. I think that there was another big one that was released not that long ago. But like in general, outside of like the really indie shit like Doki Doki, which popped off, I don't think that there's much hope for visual novels in the Western market specifically.
Steins Gate, Higurashi, and Fate are the most recent visual novel anime adaptations, and all of them are from series that started over a decade ago. So there, graph do indeed go like this. Exactly how steep of a decline and when it started is where that conflicting...
Wasn't ReZero a VN? No, ReZero was a light novel. ReZero was a light novel. Oops, what?
Information starts to come up, and the speculation as to why this is happening is something I want to discuss over the rest of this video. So with the long prelude out of the way, it's time to start asking the deep philosophical question of why...
There's DeVito, by the way.
Graph sad.
That was pretty obvious, but... yeah, LNs and VNs are different things.
As it turns out, visual novels really have been around for forever. The first one that I could reliably find documented being this title that would get me demonetized back in the early 80s. As the title of that game would imply, VNs have seemingly always had a tendency for, niche content.
Niche content, by the way. Yeah, the very first, one of the very first visual novels that I could find any documentation for was a visual novel called Lolita. Take that as you will. Anyway, I just joined. Are you watching on accelerated speed? No, I'm watching on slightly accelerated speed. I'm watching on 1.25 because I have 20 videos to get through and the stream has already been in total like 4 hours long. What about Sugi's take on this? He's making a visual novel game engine. I mean, like, so as I say in the end of the video, visual novels seem to be making a boom in the indie scene specifically, but I think like the age of visual novels being where like most anime adaptations come from, or like a decent amount of them come from, is definitely over.
Even at its early stage, the affinity for visual novels to be turned into dating sims was also clear, a trend that continues to this day. However, back in those days, it's...
By the way, another side note, Tokidoki Memori. So this visual novel right here, Tokidoki Memori, I had only known about Tokidoki Memori because of the insane human being. Yeah, so I was trying to get game. So hold on. I need you to understand. This man is crazy.
Men and women.
This man made a 6 hour long video on some old visual novel that no one fucking knows. I don't even know who this guy is. I've never watched any of his other videos. This guy's insane.
Konami had a certified...
This man is literally crazy.
Be turned into dating sims was also clear, a trend that continues to this day. However, back in those days, it seemed that there was also a trend for a lot of experimentation.
Will the stream be archived? Yes, I archive, quote unquote, archive all of my streams. I put all of my streams unlisted in playlist on my video, on my channel. So if you go over to playlist, you'll see every single one of those streams that I've ever done.
Such as mystery, sci-fi, and action were often explored. VNs actually have a really open-ended nature of be a story with some pretty pictures, and a lot of game devs were seemingly able to make their creativity run wild with such a flexible premise. On top of just flexibility, one of the reasons that I heavily assume VNs were popular during this era was the relatively low barrier to entry into the then new and exciting video game industry. Now, I am not a game dev, and I'm sure something as complex and downright beautiful as Police Nuts was not easy to make. But
does Police Nuts count as a VN? Yes. No. Well, Police Nuts is kind of. I'm literally playing Police Nuts right here, but I would say Police Nuts mainly counts as a visual novel, because most of it's a visual novel. It does have some like point and click aspects because like so Danganronpa is kind of a visual novel, right? Or like it's mostly considered a visual novel. And so is like 999. But they have what are I would consider like basically mini games, where like you do stuff in between. What is the core of the game is just talking to people and like going around and talking to people.
for the sake of
again, does it count as a visual novel? Is one of the main problems with visual novels. What counts as a visual novel? I have no fucking idea.
Let's say that you're an aspiring filmmaker by the name of, I don't know, Hideo Kojima, and you really wanted to try making a video game with little to no experience on how to actually do that. In that case, something like a visual novel might actually sound really appealing. VNs can serve as an important gateway from other fields of study, such as writing, into the world of games. But if that is the case, visual novels may have gotten less and less important as the industry naturally evolved. As people got more familiar with games, and as the tools to help other people get into the industry became more accessible, maybe visual novels...
Dreams was a fucking nightmare of an experiment, by the way. Do people still use this? Everything that I saw, Dream was a nightmare.
More accessible, maybe visual novels lost an important function that they once held within the industry. And it's this particular issue, the idea that visual novels are right at the crossroads between games, novels, and anime, that might actually be the genre's Achilles heel that I've been searching for.
Definitely not? Okay. I assume not.
Let me ask you a question. Who exactly is the audience for a visual novel? VNs have always been a niche within a niche, but what exactly that outer niche is up for debate. The two most obvious candidates are weebs and gamers, but each of them has a major limiting factor when it comes to being in the VN strike zone. Let's start off with
The most oppressed group of all, gamers.
It makes
that fucking stupid ass clip. The most oppressed group of all, gamers. But an interesting that gacha games as a whole seem to embrace the it is interesting. We were talking about this on the podcast the other day, because we record. We have like 3 recorded, and they're on my channel right now, but I'm not going to public them right now. Anyway, the gacha games seem to embrace the visual novel format in a way that I should have mentioned in this video in a very interesting way. Most of them tend to just be visual novels. Like almost every single one of the gacha games that has a story at all is a visual novel in theory.
Sense that people that play games might also play visual novels. Visual novels are sold on Steam, not Bookwalker after all. I mean, everyone agrees that visual novels are games, right?
Yeah. There's some interesting takes in this video. And this is like, spoilers, this is an S tier video. It's one of my favorite videos I've ever made, if not my favorite video I've ever made. Just because it hits a lot closer to a lot of things that I think about in my daily life than like the average gacha video does. Because as I said in my spring video, I like things other than gacha games. Which is why I'll disappear from the channel a little bit, because people really only come here for mainly my gacha game takes. That's fine, but for example, are visual novels games? Like, that's a really interesting topic, and it's something that I could not escape even with my recent video that I came back to with like semantics and stuff like that. Categories are so fucking weird. I think that most people would tend to agree that visual novels are games, but like some of them are like, the bottom text is a fiery. Yeah, I agree that most of this down here. I agree that most of, if not all, these visual novels are for sad, lonely people that like hentai porn and little girls in Japanese schoolgirl outfits. And don't get me started on these dating simulator games. It's all so pathetic. Yeah, no, I saw some. There was some shit. There's some stuff going on. There were some good memes that I found. Reads like a Facebook comment from a boomer. This is on Steam.
The criticism that some games do not have enough mechanics to be called games is not a new idea. This criticism has historically been thrown at what the community likes to call walking simulators, such as Gone Home and What Remains of Edith Finch. And while I don't fully agree with this take, I understand why it's stuck to the ends. Visual novels are a story first and a game second, if at all. And even I would be confused if a Kindle version of a choose-your-own-adventure book won Game of the Year. But what if that Kindle book was bundled with a copy of Anime Minesweeper? What if the Anime Minesweeper was more of a dungeon crawler, and to fit the novel's themes, it had pseudo-permadeath? And just like a classic visual novel, the story would change based on your decisions in the... Oh shit. Is Hades a visual novel?
I think that this is a really good point. And this is like one of the main things that I was talking about with like my semantic videos, like language is weird, in terms of like the newest video I came out, where specifically with visual novels, what the fuck even is a visual novel? Because like, is Hades a visual novel? Hades is like a really hard one because it leans more on the gameplay side. And so like comparing something like the one that I was talking about at the start, World End Economica, is you have no choices in that game. It is just a story about a capitalist on the moon, written by the Spice of Wolf author. It's just a book. It's mainly just a book with pictures. And you compare that to Hades, which has a whole entire ass game inside of it that just uses a lot of the aesthetics of visual novels. And sometimes Hades is called a visual novel. So like, what even is a visual novel? Like, what the fuck is a visual novel? Or even like Arrested Rabbit over here talking about like how most visual novels are more games than walking sims. I would consider that true nowadays, at least. But then what the like? The categories make no sense. Categories just make no sense.
Because if so, that's going to cause me to go on a whole entire tangent, and I'm already weeks behind on it.
That was a good joke, by the way. I like that editing is really good.
It had pseudo-permadeath.
Let's go back and appreciate this. I really like this. It's one of my favorite
The story
movies.
would change based on your decisions in the... Oh shit. Is Hades a visual novel? Because if so, that's going to cause me to go on a whole entire tangent, and I'm already weeks behind on it.
That was good. Hades is a good-ass game, by the way.
For those unfamiliar, Hades is a masterpiece of a game made by Supergiant Games back in 2018. On top of being the best game in its release year, it's often compared to a visual novel due to its heavy emphasis on story in a genre that often has little to none. But that comparison has always struck me as a little odd. I mean, sure, Hades does have a branching narrative that changes based on your choices, and it also has several love interests that you can chase after.
I personally feel VNs are just a method of bringing across the story. It's gotten over time, got integrated into things like, yeah, no, that's the problem with like trying to define it though, right? That's the problem where. So, Hey People points out that like the visual novels are more of like just like a group of aesthetics at this point, which means that like it's just impossible to define what the hell a visual novel is. Like I could call so many different things a visual novel, and like the term has almost lost its purpose. When Hades and Eden and AI the Somnium Files are all getting called visual novels, like I don't even know what the fuck a visual novel is anymore.
But so does Skyrim, and yet I refuse to believe that it was Todd Howard's secret plan to revive the VN genre through The Elder Scrolls V. As mentioned earlier, VNs are only really defined as a story with some pretty pictures. So games, especially RPGs, could all be visual novels if you squint hard enough.
Are these visual novels? Yeah, like the most Supergiant games, by the way, could be considered some level of visual novel. Except for like Bastion, which is just a game. Bastion's not like really a visual novel, but like Pyre, Pyre and Hades specifically are really visual novel-esque. Fire Emblem is very visual novel-esque. Catherine and even borderline Persona are very visual novel-esque. There's probably a new term like playable novel or game novel. Undertale flirts with the visual novel genre as well. Yes, yeah. There's a lot of it. There's a lot that like if you squint, maybe it's a visual novel.
Most discussions on genre devolve into this hell, where Inuyasha's an isekai and hot dogs are sandwiches. Unfortunately for visual novels, they live in this hell. As I've already talked about, visual novels exist right on that boundary between a whole bunch of different mediums. You can often run into games like the Somnium Files, Danganronpa, Three Houses, or Hades that really make you question what a visual novel even is. If it's an art style, then Fire Emblem, especially those past Awakening, should all be visual novels. If VNs don't have gameplay failsafes, then Danganronpa and Ace Attorney aren't VNs. Are the books inside of Skyrim visual novels? If you count most, or God forbid, all of these as VNs, then perhaps...
Is the Lust the Argonian made a visual novel? I need answers. I need answers.
The genre isn't even dying. It's just been evolving. To try and reel us back into the original topic of this section, gamers probably aren't the main audience for VNs. The term visual novel itself has possibly become outdated within the community, and is really only used to describe a small portion of what the genre has to offer. That is, if there are games at all, and not just, and I quote, for sad, lonely people that like hentai porn. Speaking of,
I watch Asian cartoons. I'm a weeaboo.
perhaps the most obvious audience of novels of the visual variety are those of the anime fandom. And as mentioned before, this connection is both a blessing and a curse.
This anime was alright. This anime was okay. This anime was like the definition of an okay. How would Lust the Argonian Maid be a visual novel? Because it's a novel in a video game, so I don't remember the stupid ass. It was a pun. It was some stupid pun. No, there is this was not that was not an actual question. It was some I don't know.
On one hand, the anime community is probably the closest
It's like the white bread of harem rom-coms. True.
to a consistent fan base that visual novels will have. I doubt that anyone who has been inside of the community for a while would deny that visual novels are, or at least were, a part of the culture. Mainly because, as mentioned in the intro, VNs used to be a very popular medium to draw source material from for anime and manga. But it's those same exact strong ties to the anime community that limit the genre, at least here in the West. Here in my good old home of America, anything that looks like this brings with it certain connotations, most being unfairly negative. This is why
Still hurts every time I see it.
I also didn't even bring up the possibility of people that just like books into one of the audience groups. Joe Schmo over here that really enjoys reading steampunk novels in his free time might actually really enjoy the gritty world of something like What a Beautiful People. But he takes one look at the cat girl and immediately throws it into the category of that weird shit my little cousin likes. This perception issue might go away on its own as anime becomes more mainstream, but Steam being flooded with this instead of this doesn't really help. While we're on the topic of the West, I want to spend some time talking about another issue that only affects it in regards to VNs. localization. VN localization efforts have noticeably been dragging behind compared to anime, manga.
So, on this note, it's really funny that I mentioned this in this video when I did, because the fuckers at Type Moon, the fuckers at Type Moon, I'm mentioning how bad localization is. It got an anime announced before it got translated. Natsu's newest novel, Mahotsukai no Suru, or whatever it's called, got a fucking anime announcement before it got an English release. Yeah, I think localization is pretty bad for visual novels.
And even light novels. VN fans still have to wait years or sometimes forever for even a snap.
Yeah, oh yeah, sometimes forever. Yeah, sometimes forever.
Years or sometimes for.
Natsu, please! I want to read your shit! I will buy it! I will spend money on it, Natsu! Please! Why is there no official translation for the original Fate Stay Night novel? Why? Why am I using Mirror Moon translation still? It's 2022! We're swimming in money, Nasu!
Forever for even established companies to officially translate their novels. This is likely because translation can really be a costly venture, especially for something with a word count of a VN.
That's just... This is always funny, but I remember this.
Trying to translate hundreds of thousands of words while trying to keep the author's true intentions, while also simultaneously dealing with things that don't have direct translations, is rough. The only reason translations get done in any field is because companies think that it's a worthwhile venture, but the West has really never been seen as a suitable market for selling visual novels. If you paid attention to what I've just said, this is where the fun begins. Why are visual novels not popular in the West? Because no one bothers to localize them for the West. Why does no one localize them for the West? Because they're not popular in the West.
Bro, I'm straight up not having a good time.
But that's not the real issue. If they've never been seen as popular, then why are they decreasing now? Well, while it's anecdotal, back in ye olden days, anime fans would devour anything that was vaguely anime related. If that meant waiting 4 years for a visual novel they had barely heard of to be dubiously translated by a fan group, then so be it. But today, we live in a society with Netflix, Amazon, and Crunchyroll. It's not just that VN localization stagnated, it's that every other medium within the anime community kept moving forward. Humans often take the path of least resistance, and visual novels are almost never that. Why would anyone that's not me learn how to mount an ISO file, then use Google Translate for 20 minutes on an installation program just so you can play a porn game, when you could, you know, just watch the anime?
This is rough, because this is one of the main reasons why I don't read visual novels anymore. I cannot tell you the last time I actually read a full entire visual novel. It's been a long time. And it's just because, like, I just don't have time to deal with their bullshit. I don't have time to fucking to learn how to mount an ISO file just so I could play a hentai game. Like, I'm either gonna go to Netflix or hentai, one of those two. Like, it's not worth it.
To try and answer the question that I originally set out to, traditional visual novels do seem to be on the decline as a whole. It might be because they once served a purpose that is no longer needed, or maybe their audience was always just too niche and fractured. In the West, while other industries are flourishing like never before, VN localization stays trapped in a cycle of never-ending stagnation. Now, whether a decline really counts as dying is up for debate, especially when visual novel-like games seem to be doing quite well for themselves. To end this weird video off on a happy note, the other thing that I can say for certain is that whether or not they're dying, the visual novel scene is not dead yet. While not as important as it used to be, they still do serve their purpose as an entryway for other aspiring writers to dip their toes into games. And while we still don't have an official translation of Fate Stay Night,
18 fucking years!
We do have fantastic indies such as Valhalla and Dream Daddies, so it's not all bad. Oh, we even have Telltale Games, one of the rare Western studios that...
You can't keep getting away with it!
Didn't
Well,
something
I would personally like it
didn't something recently happen with Telltale? Don't they get like bought out, or are they making games again? I think they might actually. I think they started up again. Anyway,
novels one day became a
the point still remains true that Telltale, one of the hilariously popular with like their Walking Dead series and their Wolf Among Us, and they just died. I think they're back. Yeah, I think the Wolf Among Us is starting again. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if like most of the same people are on board, but I think that the Wolf Among Us is going to start back up again.
Genre popular enough to warrant localization, I think I'm fine with it staying this weird little niche thing that I love for now.
That's good news.
That is easily the best video I've ever made, and I don't think it's close. I mean, the Wolf Among Us 2 is starting again? Okay, I thought so, yeah. It does have formal Telltale staff. Okay. So, I mean, technically, that was fake news, because whatchamacallit got started back up afterwards, but all in all, easily my best video that I've ever made, and I don't think it's close. I think that there were funnier videos, but in terms of just like actual videos, I think that I think I peaked with visual novels. Why even try anymore? I don't think I'm ever going to reach the visual novel video peak. Yeah, YouTube suggests that I just watch my own stream. Punishing Gray Raven. Sunk cost the video.
Strong, passionate.
Sunk cost the video.
Hey. Hi.
Hello, everyone.
I feel like I've learned a lot in the couple of months since I've started uploading videos. I've learned bad versions of graphic design, voice acting, and editing. On the topic of editing, there's a ton of small technical stuff that I've learned, but the big one is do not use Windows Movie Maker. I've learned that consistency is one of, if not the most important thing when it comes to YouTube.
I've chosen to perish willingly.
And recently, I've learned that the opposite of love is not hate.
One of these things is not
An okay joke.
like the others.
Both love and hate are strong, passionate emotions that give a person a drive to do something. Instead, indifferent.
Yeah, I recently heard that Berserk got canceled on Twitter. Did you spend in PGR? No, I did not. I heard Berserk got recently canceled on Twitter because of the horse scene, and it took them this long to figure that out.
It appears to be the opposite of love. I learned this last lesson when I was rewriting the script for my review of Punishing Gray Raven for the 5th time. With every rewrite detailing the story I didn't care for and the combat that I felt was just okay, I felt more and more fake. This channel
Yeah, we did
is
talk
not
about
just
yeah.
about Arknights. Hell, it's
You're the ones that told me, actually. I thought I'd heard that for something else, but yeah, no.
not just about gacha games. It's supposed to be a place where I can share my opinions on things. So how do I write a review on a game that I don't have that many strong opinions about? I could do the professional thing and phone it in. Give it a few empty words of praise, slap on an 8 out of 10, here's my application, IGN. But that is not why I started making these videos. So this won't be a review of PGR. I have a lot of criticisms about PGR, but most of them are not faults on the game itself. Instead, they're personal issues that I had with the game that ruined my experience. Because of that, I don't know how helpful this video will be for anyone that's not me, especially considering this video is coming out so late that most people have already probably made up their minds on the game. However, I've already promised this video, and this feels like the most honest way I can deliver.
Haha. Oh man, that Dio guy's really smart, and I should really follow his advice. Oh. Anyway, this video was like the launch day of PGR, yeah. PGR, this video was really hard for me to make because, as you could probably imagine, I don't want to do like the IGN, like I don't want to be like a gamer review guy, as it were. Like I don't want to be like the guy that reviews video games and then goes, "Oh yeah, subjectively speaking, you know, it has this and this and this. Like the options for the menus are really nice, you know, etc." Because this is not the kind of type of content that I want to make. This video was really hard because I just did not give a fuck about PGR. It was so hard to find motivation to rewrite the script for the 6th time, but I'm just like, man, I really don't care. But like, I'm 5 script rewrites into this at this point, and I might as well fucking do it, because if not, I've spent way too long on this stupid video.
Deliver on that promise. So without further ado, here are my messy and confusing thoughts
Is it really that bad? No, I don't think PGR is bad at all.
on the much
It's just
anticipated
not
gacha
for me.
game, Punishing Gray Raven. I'm going to start out by saying something that's going to make me look extremely dumb. I have never really liked the hack and slash genre or action RPGs. Now, you may be wondering, why did I, a person that knew they didn't like the genre, actively seek out a game in that genre just so I can complain about it online? And you know what? Fair point. I've never claimed to be a smart man. However, I am a man that enjoys actively seeking out things
That's what you meant by sunk cost? Yes.
that I don't enjoy. I do this not strictly because I'm a masochist, but because I've often found enjoyment where I thought that there could be none before, and I genuinely fear writing off a whole entire genre just because I had a few bad experiences in the past. I hated fighting games for years until I recently found that I actually really enjoy Strive. I pretty much ignored rap music for years until I found that J. Cole and Gambino are really good, and I would have completely missed out on some of my favorite games and songs of the decade if I had simply written them off as things I don't like. So I went into PGR hoping that it would be the rap music of the hack and slash genre for me, but as it turns out, it was unfortunately country.
It was country. It was not Guilty Gear Strive. I was like, you know what? Maybe hack and slash isn't the problem. Maybe I've just played hack and slash games that I don't like. I think I just don't like hack and slash. I think I could pretty confidently say I just don't like hack and slash games. There's just something about the way that the games are set up that just isn't for me.
Man, that analogy's bad. Anyway, I honestly just feel almost nothing when I play the combat of this game. Again, that's not me saying that it's bad or poorly made. The animations are nice, the skill system is pretty fun to micromanage. Dodging feels responsive and powerful most of the time, and the enemy variety is even okay. And yet, after all that praise, I would frankly rather watch paint dry than play this game for another hour. And even though I can't say that I found real enjoyment in the combat, I am at least thankful to PGR, because after doing some introspection, I now think that I understand why I don't like this genre.
Well, so you could label Hades as a hack and slash, but Hades has a big thing that this game doesn't have, which is customization. How you can sound consistently dead inside in every video. It takes a certain skill. You think Elden Ring is hack and slash? Get the fuck out of here. Hades has a lot of customization. Where like every single run you can customize everything that you're doing, and in PGR, as I'll get into, there's a lot about PGR where you just can't customize your units at all. I never asked you what makes you not like hack and slash. So it's because you like Strive, so I'm assuming you're not incompatible. So the problem with hack and slash for me, there are a couple of different problems with hack and slash for me. On one note, hack and slash tend to be so. I can compare it to a game that I like that is similar to the genre, which is Dark Souls. So people brought up like Elden Ring, right? There are two things that Dark Souls does that almost every single hack and slash game doesn't do, because hack and slashes are at their base supposed to be kind of like a power fantasy, like Bayonetta, Devil May Cry, PGR. They're all like, or even any of like the Dynasty Warriors games, any Warriors games. They're all power fantasies where like you're going around and you're just beating up people, and I'm not really interested in that. Like power fantasies are okay, but I don't really in general play video games for power fantasies. I in general play video games mostly for challenge, and story and etc., but like not for power fantasies. So I don't get much out of that. As Razor in a more hot take, as it were, says hack and slash feels brainless. Yeah, more or less, yeah, that. And the counter to that, I'm always faced with that counter, well, they are brainless to get into. However, there's always like to be really good at the game takes a lot of skill and effort, which is true. But I, as a person, my brain does not function well with scoring systems comparatively to beating my ass. What I mean by that is that if Dark Souls had hack and slash combat, but was as hard as Dark Souls, I think I would actually like that game more. I would like was not like Dark Souls more, but I would like if PGR was like just really hard, I would like the game more. The problem with hack and slash is that they tend to make the game really, really, really easy at base so that everyone can enjoy the spectacle. They're almost like spectacle fighters. And then they have these high scoring systems so that if you want to get that S on the map, then you have to be actually good. And my brain just doesn't function that way. I don't give a fuck about the S. If you're gonna let me pass your game, I'm gonna pass through your stage, and I'm gonna get to the next stage, and I'm probably not gonna go back to get that S on the previous stage. That's just not what I'm gonna do. It's not what I'm ever gonna do. I'm gonna cheese my way through your maps. Um, and this, and so you have Dark Souls, which Dark Souls doesn't go, oh well, if you try really hard, then you can get like a super S ranking. No, Dark Souls goes, if you don't get at least an A, I'm going to beat your ass. Dark Souls is like the Asian parents of Dark Souls is like the Asian parents of whatchamacallit. Well, so yes, upping the difficulty would fix that if most of these games, like DMC5 or PGR, who doesn't have difficulty settings, did not lock their difficulty behind beating the game on normal mode. And the only way to unlock it in like DMC, the only way to unlock the super hard difficulty mode in DMC5, and I know this for a fact, is that you have to beat the first super boss without you have to basically beat the boss that you're supposed to lose to, which is a very high task for someone who doesn't want to play the game yet. I'm just like, I just want to play on a decently hard difficulty. Oh, in order to play on the decently hard difficulty, I have to be really, really good at the game at the very start of the game. Well, I guess I'm not playing your game then, DMC5, even though I love your characters and your art style. Yeah, I guess that like as a gacha player and as a masochist, I prefer it when the game beats my ass and tells me that I'm not allowed out of my room until I get good. Where I feel like most hack and slash games are very forgiving. And they're like, no, it's okay. These get degrees, and then like if you get an A, then we'll give you the candy, then we'll give you cake. Okay. I want to be punished. I press B to be done. My mind just does not work with the like high leaderboard type of games.
That being personalization.
I have played Nier Automata. It's very good. I don't like Nier Automata for the gameplay though. I like Nier Automata just because it's very good. Noita is also pretty fun. You want to be punished, Great Raven.
I highly value customization and self-expression in games. I've loved card games for over a decade because they allow me to build my own deck. I fell in love with Monster Hunter not that long ago because of the really in-depth build variety. After 9 agonizing years of playing bad game, I still log back in just because I find the number of different champions, teams, and builds that you can try intoxicating. I, as a person, love the feeling that a certain strategy, build, or deck is mine. And man, does PGR just have almost none of that. To start off with, characters only have one set of abilities that cannot be altered. You can equip your characters with weapons and armor. However, new weapons are rather rare and usually just give bigger numbers instead of niche gameplay, leaving the only real unit customization up to the equipment system. Equipment does give a variety of different buffs and effects from...
How many hours do you have on League? More than I should. So in general, like to bring that to like the Hades comparison, there are games that would be considered like hack and slash ish that I like, but most of them are like roguelikes and or games that have high build customization. Like I don't like Hades because of the combat. I like Hades because I can make stupid funny build where I'm firing 17,000 laser balls out at the gods. Because that's super fun to me. And most hack and slash games just don't have that level of customization because they're more focused on having really intricate gameplay systems that are there if you want them. They are just not for me. They just don't have the things that I want. Why not play Dota then? I do play Dota sometimes. It's just that Dota feels bad. It is very, very subjective. Dota just feels bad to play. I'm trying to. So I don't know if you're a Dota player, hey people, but like and this comes from a League player, so note. But like League and even HOTS feel like or even like what's the other one I was playing recently? Battle Right? Yeah, Battle Right. Rip Battle Right. Anyway, they're really snappy in the micro level decisions. There's also an unspoken feud. So League feels really snappy in a micro sense, but it's really dumb, as it were, in a macro sense, where like map rotations in League are not that interesting because there's usually an objectively correct answer, and there's also not as many intricate things with like build paths or weight or positioning as this kind of macro, like where you're supposed to be. But League, just like on a pure animation level and a pure like responsiveness level, like the responsiveness of it, but like I press a button and the thing happens. League has Dota beat. And I think this is pretty objective. Where Dota, on the other hand, is a much more macro, like, what am I building? Where you are on the map in Dota is so much more important on average than where you are on the map in League. Like, because in League, half of the game you're locked to your lane anyway. In most roles, outside of literally jungle and support, and kind of mid lane. But in Dota, there's just people everywhere. You're like fucking the position 5 is in top lane sometimes. I don't know why they're there. Where is Bounty Hunter? I don't even know where he is half the time. What is Bounty Hunter? I'm not sure. Why is Storm killing me in my fucking base? And so Dota, there's a much more macro play, where like there's just like shit happening all the time. And like it's like this really weird esoteric stuff, like build paths in Dota are really weird. But the problem with Dota for me is that genuinely it just feels bad to play the game. Like the game, like turn speed, I hate it. Please just remove I know it's for balance. I don't care. Just remove it. There are some characters that I just will never play because they're very RTS. Yeah, it just like the animations come out really slow. There's like a delay between a lot of the animations. So there's a noticeable cast time on a lot of the abilities in Dota. Like very rarely in Dota is a ability instant cast speed. Most of them have like a 0.5 second cast speed. Because I can't run not moving when I feel I should. Yeah, it like Dota. I want to like Dota. It just like League has spoiled me. League has completely spoiled me. Well, as a visual treat for kids, and Dota's like a overcomplicated game of chess. No, I would agree. Yeah, I don't think either of them is bad. I think that most of them are. I think both of them do what they want to do good.
From the basic increased healing and damage to some really specific stuff. And while that's nice in theory, equipment in PGR almost never actually impacts how it feels to play the unit and or impacts the strategies that the unit can be involved in. Now, all of that would be fine if team building was interesting. Games like FGO and Alchemy Stars, games that I quite enjoy, also have very limited unit customization. But in these games, building a team is its own little puzzle. While units themselves may be linear, the combination of all of these different characters can lead to interesting situations. So let's take a look at PGR's roster and...
This is unfortunate.
Yeah, anyway. No, and the other thing I was going to mention is that the animations in League are, I feel, much more readable than the animations in Dota. A lot of the times I legitimately just like actually don't know what's happening. Like Dota has a lot more like skill checks or knowledge checks, as it were. Where Dota's like the very first time you get hit by like Mirana Spear, that ability does not look as dangerous as it should, because that ability will fucking one-shot you out of nowhere, and it looks like it's an auto attack. Very legitimately. Where like if you're getting hit by Ash Arrow or Nidalee Spear, you probably know. Especially like Ash Arrow is coming at you, you're like, oh, I should probably dodge that. But Mirana Spear is coming at you, you're like, oh, is that an auto attack that came out of, oh, I'm dead. And that's probably an issue in Dota.
So PGR is in a difficult situation with this one, because from what I can see, team building does seem like it could be interesting, but there's just not enough units to experiment with building teams. To make the roster feel even more limited, you may have noticed by now that some of these characters are the same exact characters in different outfits. Now, I get why they did this. For one, 3D models are expensive to make, especially when you want them doing all this fancy shit, so reusing 3D models is a very cost-effective way to get around this issue. The smaller cast of characters also allows the writers to include most of the units in the main story and even give them all detailed lore. Lore that, you know...
Well, every MOBA team fight always looks like an abstract painting. Maybe it's just because maybe it's a familiarity thing, where I feel like maybe it's because of like a color palette thing. Because that's interesting that you have it the other way. It might just be a color palette thing, because I feel like maybe it's just the color palette of there are a couple of abilities. There are a couple of abilities in Dota that I feel like should be... Mirana Sphere is like the most obvious one, but there's like a couple more that I'm thinking. I can't think of them right now because I'm not that familiar with Dota. I only have like 80 hours in it or something. I don't know every character's abilities by heart yet. There are a couple of abilities in Dota where I felt like there was no way, or like Walrus Punch, or not Walrus Punch. What's the Lion's Alt? Finger of Death? Oh, anyway.
Isn't locked behind the quotes of other units' locked dialogue. The gacha also feels the impact from this design choice. While it can be confusing as hell to understand at first, it's actually rather forgiving, meaning that this is a game where you can expect to get most, if not all, of the units eventually. Now, I'm not going to say that PGR's gacha should be more punishing, but I did kind of make a full video explaining how one of the only things I actually like about gacha as a game mechanic was the forced personalization caused by getting a random cast of characters, something that has been extremely watered down in PGR. This point really highlights exactly what I was talking about when I said that I have personal issues with the game that are not flaws.
It's not existent. You always build mono teams? Oof. So I remember, again, this was one that was made, this was the one that was made, this was a video that was made kind of close to release, so I did not know whether or not, so I remember there were topics of like, there was like, oh, you could do like physical slash this or do that slash this, but man, if team building really just is build mono element, then it is just as bad as I thought it was.
I do not think that having a forgiving gacha is a bad thing. I also don't think that it's an issue to have a small cast of characters so that you can have a tightly woven story, but I personally would much prefer the alternative for both of these. As you could probably tell, the topic of personalization was a massive through line that impacted a lot of my experience with the game. My perception of the combat, gacha, and even the characters all suffered because of it. So with that large elephant finally addressed, I really only have a few things left to say on PGR. Number 1. The dorm system is actually awesome. It takes full advantage of the 3D of the game by allowing you to look around your room from a bunch of different angles. Number 2. I know in the intro I said I didn't really care about it, but the story is actually pretty good. As mentioned, it turns out that when you have a narrow focus on a few characters, it makes writing a competent story much easier. Big surprise. Number 3. The music in this game is alright. Now, don't get me wrong, it has some bangers. But it really hard focuses on just EDM, and I would have liked some variety. Last, but certainly not least, Lucia is best girl. This is a fact, and I'm willing to fight all of you alpha lovers Final Destination Fox only no items this Sunday night. And that's about it. Those are all of my opinions.
How is PGR doing, by the way? Does anyone play this game at all? Is this game still doing okay? I hear nothing about this game anymore. Like, I hear, like, literally nothing. It's good? Okay. Like, I mean, as this video can tell, as you probably tell from this video and, like, me just talking, like, I think it's probably, like, people that will like hack and slash games will probably like PGR. I didn't find anything that was, like, really bad about it. I went into PGR hoping that it would change my opinions on the genre, and it did not, and that's okay. In general, the video, though, I think is, like, fine. The B tier video, maybe a C tier video. C tier video because of all the mental anguish it put me through. Strong beer A. I thought the video was fine itself. I don't think A. I don't think A. Maybe top of B.
Shit.
It's a good place to start. I don't know why it autoplayed there, but
How do we know that monsters are scary? It could be the eerie music or the dim lighting.
oh, so I guess it's some background for this video. I thought that my takes on character design were pretty milquetoast. I thought that my takes on character design were like, yeah, I probably think in general what everyone else thinks. And I remember specifically, me and Skorak had talked about it because we have Skorak approached me a long time ago about the podcast, and we talked about it, starting a podcast together, like a long time ago. We were like, oh yeah, we could talk about character design or something like that. And Skorak agreed with most of my my takes on on character design. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess like me and Skorak are just like, yeah, we're like pretty average in terms, and I guess that I just have nuclear fucking hot takes when it comes to character design. Like, I did not know that most people thought that like sexy slash horny is just like actually good, or like I don't overthink it when like every single thing about a character's design is made by another human being that is doing it for a reason. I was very surprised. It was during the Harmacist filler arc. It was during the very first Harmacist filler arc. Silver War. So this video. Okay, we're live. Wait, are we live actually? Are you sure? Why did it? Oh, there we go. So we were doing. Is that her? We were. Oh, I skipped to Manticore. Perfect. Yeah, plugged to the Harmacist. We were doing a filler arc, and so we were just talking about the character design on Arknights, and like, I remember sitting in the call and thinking that I was going crazy because I was just like, oh my god, wait. You ever just wake up and realize that you have you're doing something that's just like really weird that no one else in the world does? Like, I'm trying to think. There was another. For those of you that play Dota and League, do you play with 3 fingers or 4 fingers? This is a serious question. Because it's split about 50-50. 5. I don't play League. Okay, because I swear to God, half of the people that I play with, and I'm talking about like just like your left hand, just like the QWER. There are some people that put pinky finger on Q, and there are some people that put not pinky, the one next to pinky on Q. Just my left hand. And in Dota, of course, you have to use your thumb more because you need more keybinds in Dota. But yeah, ring finger. Okay. How the hell do you play with 4? There are people. I have 2 friends that play with pinky finger on Q. They use their Q button. They use up their pinky finger to use their Q button. They're freaks. So I was having one of those moments that you guys are probably having right now, where you guys are like, "What? What does that even mean? How do you play with 4 fingers?" I was having that where it's like where I was in this call with the Harmacist, and they were like, "No." I was like, "Yeah, okay, she is hot, but being hot does not mean that your character design is good." And they were like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" We just had completely different ideas of what good/bad character design meant. Because good character design to I think what I think now is most people is just character design characters that are designed to look good, right? Like you see a design and you go, "Wow, I like that." That means that is good character design. Where I do not think of character design in the remotely the same way, and that disconnect was so funny to me. I was like, "Holy shit, my mind is just blown." If the intention is to be hot, then it's successful. True. Yes. I mainly use Pinky for control. That's interesting. I don't use Pinky at all. That's not how that works. Well, you'd say that's not how that works, but like a lot of people do. They do just think that yeah, character design that I look at that makes me feel aesthetically pleased is good character design. Where like I've always viewed a character's design as an intentional choice by an artist to try and match lore. Because what I'm interested in is the character of the character's design, right? And so how well a design matches a character makes the character design. That's the 2 words. The design, the visual representation is supposed to match the lore behind the character. If she matched her lore, she wouldn't be visible. True. A friend of mine rebinded skills from QWER to WASD. Holy shit, that's cursed. By definition, aesthetically pleasing does not equal good character design. I think that most people just don't think about it. And so when confronted with this question, we'll probably just default to that. Or at least that's what I learned in this filler arc. I was like, okay, people just don't think about character design the same way I do. That's okay.
However, odds are you can tell something is scary just by looking at it. It's completely natural to be afraid of snakes, spiders, and heights because
Well, even like most people confuse character design with character appeal. No, I completely agree. We're just having two different conversations. And like because we were having two different understandings of the word character design. I mean, obviously, I'm egotistical, so I think that my definition's right. But it is what it is. Which is why I start this off with this intro with like this like talking about like nothing related to any of the rest of the video, because I'm trying to get around like, hey, what is the point of a character design?
it's scary just by looking at it. It's completely natural to be afraid of snakes, spiders, and heights because those have been killing us for generations. But why monsters? The last time I checked the stats, Godzilla has never killed a real person. Yet I can't help but feel a sense of dread each time I watch this scene. So let's have a little chat about character design.
I always struggle with this idea since realistically people don't wear it. No, I agree, but yeah, no, exactly, because it's a visual medium. And unlike a human, you're not like making because like you as an artist decide what your character looks like and what their personality is. And I think that a lot of shorthand is very important for understanding things, especially in, as I'll get to, especially in games with a lot of characters. When you have a game like Arknights, who has at this point hundreds of characters, you need to make a design that will very easily and efficiently tell me what that character is about. That's the point of character design. It's one, useful because it's shorthand, and two, it's literally supposed to be the design for a character.
In gacha games, of course. Humans have, intentionally or not, given meaning to almost everything around us. We just can't help but notice.
This is really cool. I don't know if any of you actually looked this up, but this is really, really cool. And this like proves my point, like a lot of what I was talking about before. What do you guys think this looks like? Just I'll mute myself here. I wish I could get the. Oh, I can't just get the whole thing. Why did I say I wish I could get the whole thing? Okay, so wait, there's a specific part of it though. Okay, yeah, no, this was the part. So what does this look like to you? Why is my father beating my mother, Dia? So yes, and most people, a very large amount of people, do think that this is a fight, but specifically domestic abuse. Yes, a lot of people do think that they see domestic violence inside of this video. The brain's ability to extrapolate ideas is a very convoluted NTR plotline. Nice. Is amazing. Shorthand is extremely powerful for getting ideas across. You can pull either a fight or specifically domestic abuse out of two triangles and a circle and a rectangle. So you can imagine the power that something like a character's design can have for displaying what they're doing, what their personality is.
Almost everything around us. We just can't help but
I
notice
thought they were trying
as patterns and read into them. Purple is just a color, but due to how expensive real-life purple dye was for centuries, it became synonymous with nobility and royalty. On the topic of royals, lions are the kings of the jungle, so characters associated with them are often fierce and strong leaders. This is an isekai protagonist, this is a tsundere, and this was a mistake. In this world where everything can become loaded with meaning, it's important to remember that characters are not born, they're made. Everything about a character's physical appearance, from their hairstyle and clothes to their facial expression and color palette, was a choice made by
Yeah, this is Riot music. Riot allows you to use all of their music. They won't copyright any of it.
Artist. Believe it or not, Kelsit did not just wake up in a vomit green onesie. Someone made the choice to do that to her. And it's here that I'll mention that character design is an art, not a science, meaning that it is ultimately subjective. That being said, you can still make arguments that certain aspects of a character's design do or do not efficiently convey what the character is about. For an example, let's go back to the King of Monsters. The first thing that stands out in all of his designs is that he looks like a dinosaur, but one that has been twisted or mutated. The original design for Godzilla had very thick and rough skin. This wasn't just an aesthetic choice, it was specifically inspired by the keloid scars that were often found on victims from Hiroshima.
The idea of Multi-Bloods, yeah, so I've seen this before, the idea that like Multi-Bloods visual design is very specifically purposely bland, and I mean that's fine. If that's a aesthetic idea that you want to make for your characters, then that's completely fine, because then the purpose of the character design is supposed to be like obfuscative, or is on purpose, and that's okay.
Very fitting then for a monster that is supposed to be the incarnation of Japanese fears about the atomic bomb
I can feel the I'm a genius energy from the dude at Dr. Stone. True.
after World War II. And this, at least artistically speaking, is what a character design is ultimately supposed to do. One picture could be all you need to understand the core ideas of a character. A good relationship between visuals and the character can really help sell a power fantasy. It really helps you feel like Spider-Man, or Urgot if that's your type of thing. So to answer my initial question, monsters are scary even if they don't exist, because they remind us of things that do. Not just creepy crawlies and predators, mind you. Anything that our society is afraid of can become a monster.
Parasite, by the way, is an amazing movie. Hold on, give me 1 second. Anyway, I'm back. Sorry about that. Dark Knights is a cheap copy of FGO. Wait, what the fuck? What's this conversation? Parasite did things to me that I don't understand, that I don't myself understand. Oh, if you want my thoughts on TB Skyen, I have watched TB Skyen. Yes, TB Skyen is a pretty good channel.
That concludes my TED Talk on character design. I could end the video here, but I think it would be a good idea to give an example of how this works with a character
Hello,
my
Tomato.
audience probably knows. So now we get to the fun part, where I get to call your waifu shit. So who is this anyway? If a design is supposed to efficiently convey the core ideas of a character, then we need some shared understanding of those ideas. So let me do my best Kaiser impression. Hi, honey. Such a stupid joke.
It's a good joke. It's not a stupid joke. This is an amazing joke. Anyway, wait. So is the Russian guy that was in here was saying Arknets is a cheap copy of HBO? It's very funny.
Zumama is the leader of a tribe known as Unectus, located deep within the jungles of Sargon. While the inhabitants of Sargon usually champion strength and tradition above all, Zumama is much more of a thinker than a fighter. Due to her high intelligence and years of research, she has a very deep understanding of robotics and engineering, enough of an understanding to build a giant mech in the jungle with only scraps and primitive tools. It's this deep love or borderline obsession with technology that really drives the character. While inside of Sargon, she plays direct foil to her childhood friend Gaviel, who is quoted to be the embodiment of tradition. Once we convince her to join Rhode Islands with us, we can see that despite all of her genius, she's held back by a lack of understanding of most of the modern world. So in summary, Unectus is a leader. She is highly intelligent and an engineer. However, her intellect was very limited by her primitive environment. So, how much of that can you tell from her design alone? Well, a decent amount actually. The multitude of gadgets and trinkets that hang off of her do a lot of the heavy lifting of the design. In particular, I really like how you can tell that she's made a lot of this stuff from random things that she's found in the jungle and jammed together. Another thing I like is that while her body doesn't have any scars, her tail has several marks and band-aids, either hinting that she gets into fights on a regular basis or that her experiments don't always go according to plan, both of which are plausible. While I have some criticisms related to it later, her clothes make some amount of sense. They look almost as cobbled together as her weapons do, and her not wearing much cloth does make sense for a person living deep in the jungle. It's not exactly part of her character's design, but the environments in the E2 art also do a really good job at matching the character. Now with all that being said, I have two important questions.
I think you just need to reread Chief Returns. Really? think I'm just off on the character-wise itself. That's interesting. I don't think I'm that far off on like what the core aspects of what makes her character are. And also the problems that I have with her character. So far, I haven't even mentioned any of her problems with the character. How she started this path. I'm trying to figure out if that, because my two problems with her design are that I don't think that it makes sense that she's a snake, and I don't think that that it makes sense that she's so sexy, or that her design specifically is so over sexualized. Um, I don't think anything. I don't think her starting her path has anything to do with either of the things that I even whatchamacallit, that I even talk about. And I think that if I remember correctly, I've seen this bit before. Okay. If I remember correctly, L plus ratios. I still don't have Eunectus, by the way, so I'm still just salty. Yeah. The reason she started her path was because she wanted to revolutionize Sargon, right? She wanted to. She thought that it was the only way that progress was the only way that Sargon would keep up with the rest of the world, and so she wanted to help her people through technology. But not everyone understood what she was doing and why. She's not like specifically like a recluse out in the wild, but
Why is she a snake? And why is that snake so damn thick? Let's start with the less controversial topic. I think making Eunectus a python makes very little sense. Out of all symbolism, animal symbolism is some of the strongest and most consistent. Lions are royal, ox are stubborn, crows are conniving, and snakes, well, snakes are just evil. Snakes are very often a representation of this.
so I got a decent amount of pushback on this specifically, because a lot of people mentioned that snakes are not specifically evil in Eastern culture, or not as evil as in Eastern culture as they are in Western culture. Which, while true, is also debatable. Even in Eastern culture, most snakes are, if not considered uh evil, are considered somewhat of a duality. Very rarely do you actually see a representation of a snake being a good thing. There are some things, because of their relationship to dragons, they are seen as somewhat positive in specifically Asian cultures. And there's like Asclepius in Greco-Roman culture, who is seen almost strictly positive because he's the god of healing, and his snakes would actually go out and heal people because they could you could reinvent the venom into healing. But how do you convey a message through a bunch of lines and colors? True. That's horrible CG, but it's a good show. Good Omens is a good show. It's bad CG, but Good Omens is a good show. It's a Prime show. What do you expect? True. Yeah. Like foxes, yeah, they're more seen as kind of like foxes, where it's very rare. They're kind of like it's kind of like a duality slash tricky thing, where like foxes are very, yeah, no, it's very similar to some other foxes, but like foxes can do good or they can do bad. It just depends, and sometimes they don't have like, most of the time snakes don't have that like tricky vibe. It's just that they're danger mixed in with good, because snakes are inherently dangerous, right? The human mind, or you can see that like monkey. Sorry, backing up here. Monkeys and gorillas are hardline coded to read certain like twigs and or snakes, certain twigs and or tree um sticks as being snakes, and they'll freak out over a twig because they think it's a snake because it's hard coded into our brain that snakes are dangerous. This goes back to like monkey times, right? It just is what it is. So even in cultures that tend to view snakes in a more positive light because of their ability to give medicine from their venom, they're always seen as, they give medicine, but they're also dangerous. Branches. That was what I was looking for. So very rarely are they ever good. So I'll push back on that as the whatchamacallit. I'll push back on that because this is the most hot topic, hot take that I had. Hot take that I had was that snakes are evil. Where, and I will say, I will send some of it. Snakes are way more evil in Western culture than they are in Eastern culture. But even in Eastern culture, they're very rarely ever good. They're most of the time dangerous. Dangerous is much more the word that I should have used. They're not evil, they're dangerous. and specifically in the West, they are evil.
Deceit, betrayal, or sin. You can probably thank Christianity for a lot of those associations going back all the way to the Garden of Eden. But many myths from around the world have featured snakes and serpents as antagonists. In Norse mythology,
No, and I think, hey people, one of the actual the only pushback that I actually like strongly agree with was that someone had put the idea that so if you go back to the great chief, she was actually played as the villain for like half of the story before Tomimi was actually revealed to be the real villain. And I've heard a couple of people and like on Reddit and in I think the YouTube comments say that the idea for her being a snake is supposed to be that she is supposed to be like it's supposed to be like a fake out, right? She's supposed to be a snake because Eunectus is supposed to look like a villain, and you're supposed to think that she's a villain, because snakes are evil and or at least dangerous. And then once you get to know her, you realize that she's trying to do what's best for her people. And that Tomimi was actually the real villain. And Tomimi is supposed to be like this black fox, black sheep, as it were, because she looked like most of the other crocodiles in Sargon, so she's got a really thick tail. However, it turns out that she was actually like she's kind of so yeah, that is a fair pushback to my analysis. I think that the idea that she's supposed to be a snake because snakes equal danger, not necessarily evil, or even really it could mean evil, and that they were trying to bait you by making you think that Eunectus was the main villain when she really wasn't. So,
world serpent Jormungandr was often the antagonist to the hero Thor, and it was none other than a snake.
Oh, maybe it was the villain? I mean, kind of. There was no real villain in Great Chief, but I would consider Tomimi the villain. She did kind of shoot down Gabriel's plan. She's kind of a psychopath.
That stole Gilgamesh's immortality. Leviathan, Tiamat, Medusa, and Hydras. None of these are known for intelligence or engineering. I mean, snakes don't have hands. How could they build a mech?
It just works.
Moving on, why is Eunectus so hot? And don't just pretend like she's a little sexualized. She is in the competition for the thickest thighs in the game. Now, there is nothing inherently wrong about a character being sexy, but if that's the first thing that most straight males and gay women are going to notice about your design, then it should probably have something to do with your character. Evelynn from League of Legends and Widowmaker from Overwatch are both
Now, races play a less important role here. No, races do play a less important role, and the real answer I expect to most of my gacha game character design ideas are they just didn't think about it. That's like the real answer is that either they just didn't think about it or they thought it would sell so they did it. But taking it, especially like when we get into Manticore, taking some of the ideas just like confuses the shit out of me. Yeah, Tomimi was the one that was pulling the string. Yes, correct. Because she wanted Gabriel to come back because she low-key was horny on main. But so the snake thing, I will concede that it's possible. The snake thing, I will concede is like, okay, one, I was wrong, or like at least I should have explained more that snakes are danger and not evil. And also, even if it is either danger or evil, it could make sense for her character. I still don't think that she should have been over-sexualized because being sexy has literally nothing to do with her character, and this is just a character design thing that makes me very sad. Where I feel like they are trying to play towards the base of what they think are 13-year-old boys, and when we're doing that, we get nowhere in life. If you're going to make a hot character, fine with that. Make part of her character being hot, like Evelynn or Widowmaker. Part of their character are hot. It's in their character. Nexus's character has nothing to do with being hot. And I don't think that anything, like, I've not heard. Samira is another good example. People should start reading this story. True. Anyway. Yet you pulled for God, you is also sexy without it being part of a personality, yet you pulled for True. You're tilting at windmills? Or wind wheels? I think it's windmills, but yeah. I'm living about Kaisa. Kaisa's another example of a bad one. I mean, I'm not like super heated or bad. I don't even think Blumishein's hot because so if you look at Blumishein's design, there's a big difference here. We can have this debate. I'm actually really curious about this. When I read this, the first thing that comes to my mind is night. not hot. It's night. And that makes sense. When you look at Eunectus, especially in something like her E2 art. Haha. If you look at something like her E2 art, there's a I've already praised in the video a decent amount that I like that she has gadgets all over the place. I like that she has, like, it looks like she's like MacGyvering all of this stuff. But there's a certain thing that gets in the way of me actually looking at all of the parts of her character design that I like. There's a certain giant thing that's like distracting me and is like, what? I mean, like yeah, she's in like the jungle, so like she's skimpily clothed because it's hot outside. So Mimi's not like that though, really. I what were we talking about? What were we talking about? I forgot. Why are we here? Like Blemishine, and this can get into another discussion where because there are two separate discussions, right? There is the sexualization discussion, and then there is the body type discussion, where I do feel like most people being conventionally attractive is kind of annoying. This is like in just general media in general. Like there's not a lot of alternative body types and or ugly people in media. League of Legends, if you're a League fan, you know already that the last 20 champions have been top men and women and a cat. And that can be really annoying to see that same body type over and over. But I'm not even talking about that. Like Blemishine is attractive, but I don't look at Blemishine and go, "Oh, mommy, oh, mommy, mommy." I look at Blemishine and go, "Oh, that's a knight. She's like a loyal knight, probably, etc., etc." I look at Eunectus and what were we talking about? I don't remember anymore. Anyway, yeah, the video.
Seductresses. It would make less sense for these characters to be moderately clothed because they are trying to seduce you. But what about Eunectus' character has anything to do with promiscuity or sex appeal? Go ahead and dig through the lore. I'll wait. Rant over, let's go back to being constructive for a bit. In terms of animals, I think that there are a couple of choices that make a lot more sense. Animals such as owls or beavers are way better symbols for wisdom or engineering respectively. But if they wanted to stick to a reptile because she was from Sargon, then why not a tortoise? Tortoises have...
Let's just call it preference. No, I mean, obviously this is all subjective. I think that I can defend my points pretty well. I can show why I think the way I do, but at the end of the day, this is all subjective, obviously. Character design is at its whole heart subjective. For E2 doesn't scream knight? Not as much, no. More paladin, if anything. I think like the dress is actually I actually like the mixture of heavy armor and dress. Maybe this comes from me being a saber simp. But the idea that she is still feminine while still being a knight is a pretty unique part of her design. And in general, the stand thing looks amazing. This does still scream Holy Paladin because of the color palette. Black, white, and gold has specifically white and gold has always been like the Crusader / Paladin archetype. While this screams knight, this screams paladin to me. But specifically, it's like this unique-ish feminine paladin, and there's no one note. There's no boot plate in either of them, so that's a stand up. Good job on that. Organized crowd character design. Literally, Arthur Fate is wearing the same thing. Correct. Yes. Never understood why the dancer from Dark Souls 3 is in her art. No, I've actually never looked at Blemishine's skin. I saw at the top that she got a skin. This art to keep going back to this art. Where's it at? What? Oh, it's because I have to do this. God damn it. I did not know she got a skin. This is really skipping. Is this supposed to be Chris, or is this did somebody actually get this skin with her pumpkin head, or other than Chris? Like Ock. I'm a sucker for this aesthetic in general because yeah, like this is very Bloodborne. Those are the other neurals. That's cute. I like this. Can we get a neural where she's just in this? Does she have it actually? Damn. That's unfortunate. There's a Wendigo skull? Yeah, I noticed this. The skull's kind of cool. I've been missing a lot of what you people have been saying. Anyway, let me look, see if I'm missing anything. No, so yeah, I think that a wisdom-based animal. This was a stretch. I was trying to. So I didn't want to be negative. I didn't want to just. I didn't. So I don't like to just raise problems without giving some kind of solutions. Um. So I try. I regret doing a tortoise specifically because I don't think a tortoise makes that much sense to her. And also, as I mentioned, I kind of walked back the snake. Um. But that being what is Shammers on the roof? What? Oh, Shamir is on the roof. Does Shamir get a skin? Does Shamir get one of these skins? Oh, she does. She did. This just fits her aesthetic a lot, like the goth Lolita stuff. This is great. I like this skin a lot. This is a good skin. Anyway,
long since been symbols for wisdom due to their long lifespan.
I'm sorry if I missed your comment. I got really distracted.
Making her a tortoise also opens up some interesting story ideas. Maybe, as a member of a slow and offensively weak race, Eunectus felt like an outcast within her own tribe. If you really wanted to go far with this idea, you could give her a prosthetic limb, perhaps an injury caused by being pushed too far as a child in a warrior culture. If Gaviel is a representation of all the good that kind of culture can do, then having her foil have a literal scar caused by Sargon's worship of physical strength would emphasize that idea. Now, in terms of her being hot, let me give you an amazing tip. Women can be hot and not have the most boring female body type imaginable.
Why is Amir a rabbit then? I have no idea. I don't know.
Brigitte and Lady D's SFM numbers are proof of that. Since she's working with heavy machinery all day, you could lean into the buff mommy archetype, giving her a toned body and possibly scars. Proof that she was raised in a rough environment and is...
I mean, I think that animal symbolism... So again, I think the real answer for like a lot of my like gotcha character design is that either people don't think about it and or maybe I'm too dumb to understand it right now. I think animal symbolism is important because I think that it's one of the easiest shorthands that a lot of people can run to. But I am not a character designer. What is important to me is not important to a lot of the other people. Maybe they made Amia a rabbit because they thought it was cute or they thought it was friendly. I have no idea. I'm not saying Amia is a good character design. I don't have to defend Amia being a bunny because I think Amia is pretty generic. I don't think there was that much thought put into Amia being a bunny. I don't know.
Used to manual labor. If you don't like that direction, you could swing in the complete opposite one and go full Jinx. Make her lanky and give her noodle arms, emphasizing her snake-like aspects while at the same time showing that her strongest asset is not her body, but her mind. Some friendly reminders before you finish posting that comment.
Well, not only... So, I think that the horse symbolism in the neural family is actually really nice because you tied knights with horses, right? Not only do knights have a lot of relationship with horses in general, because knights rode horses, but horses are considered... horses are very usually considered the like stable animals, like they're beast of burden in some sense, where they're like loyalty and stability. And knight, like especially like the chivalric knight, you're going to get a lot of those same ideas overlapping. So I think that making the neural family, who are all knights, into horses is a pretty good idea.
Art is subjective. My channel name is Dio's Opinions, and this has just been one of them. Also, it's not like I don't understand why Eunectus' design is...
Except the one from the Holy Grail. We don't talk about that horse. That's not a horse.
Companies ultimately need to make money. League and Overwatch mostly make their money from skins, where Arknights mostly makes its money from selling the characters. And if there's one thing that humanity has learned over time, it's that sex sells. Character design be damned. And lastly, as a reminder, I think Eunectus' design is ultimately fine. There are some big missed opportunities in my eyes, but you can still tell what type of character she is at a glance. So all of you Eunectus stands can take solace.
No, so the making her weak doesn't fit with the noodle arms. I actually agree. I actually mentioned in the video that I think that whatchamacallit, you can't have all of these, obviously. These aren't like the none of these are perfect solutions, and you would have to change her lore a little bit to fit either of them. But one thing I mentioned earlier on is that, like, if you want it, you can either do the buff mommy archetype, where like you can give her scars and stuff like that, because not only was she just like the scientist, but she was a fighter, right? She fought Gabrielle, and she was kind of like the rough and tumble type. She's kind of like a tomboy and an engineer at the same time. Um, and so one of the things that I mentioned was like, well, if you do want to lean into that like buff mommy archetype, like that Brigitte archetype, um, then why not give her like scars? To show that she's been through a lot of fights, and that this would also emphasize again that her experiments are kind of like half put together. Like maybe some of those scars aren't from fighting, maybe those scars are from experiments that went wrong. I think that her having perfect skin when she's showing all of this skin in the jungle, and she gets into fights, and she rides around in a mech, is a little iffy. But if you did want to up the whatchamacallit, like the reclusive genius, and wanted to go away from the aspect of her character that was fighting, and you just wanted to like, oh, well, she fights through machines and through mechs, then you could go with like the really skinny noodle arms kind of.
Of them. Also, it's not like I don't understand why
Who would have a split tongue? I don't think that's a bad thing. Anyway.
Unectis's design is the way it is. Companies ultimately need to make money. League and Overwatch mostly make their money.
I think we can all agree, whether or not you like Unectis's design, or whether or not you agree with me, he needs a buff. Huh? We all make a petition to buff Unectis? Huh?
From skins, where Arknights mostly makes its money from selling the characters. And if there's one thing that humanity has learned over time, it's that sex sells. Character design be damned. And lastly, as a reminder, I think Unectis's design is ultimately fine. There are some big missed opportunities in my eyes, but you can still tell what type of character she is at a glance. So all of you Unectis stands can take solace in knowing that she is definitely not the worst design in Arknights. The worst design in Arknights. The worst design in Arknights. The worst design.
Oh, okay. At least it's not Seraphine. Isn't character design only important for the first impression? Yes and no. So character design is very important for a first impression. But besides that, if you're in a game like Overwatch or League, character design is very important because silhouettes are important. And in a game where you can have a split-second decision between running away or staying and fighting, you need to know exactly what that character is and exactly what they can do within less than a second. So you're not going to want to make a tank really squishy, really like skinny. Like if you don't want to make like a big beefy tank that's going to take a lot of damage really skinny, because in that second when they walk out of a bush, you might think, oh, it's really skinny, and then you try to fire all of your skill shots into them, and then they take 50,000 damage. That's a failure of character design, but that's a more mechanical failure of character design. And besides that, first impressions are important. And also, in gacha games, you only sometimes get a first impression because there are too many characters and not enough story. This is a spicy video. This is my most hated video, I think. I think there are things that were good about this video. I'll put it in C tier. I think that I agree, as you can probably obviously tell, I agree with most of the video. Even if there are parts that I've walked back. And even if at the end of the day, I still think that it's probably fine. What the fuck is May then? A psychopath. I think that at the end of the day, Unectis design is fine. I said this before. I said it in the video like 3 times that I think that Unectis design overall is fine. I think there are some missed opportunities, some that I've walked back. I think that her being a snake is probably fine if that's what they were going for. I still don't think that her being hot makes sense, but fair dubs. Okay, so some people have to work, whatever. It is what it is. But there are things that if I remade the video today, I would change about it. It gets a C tier.
India,
Oh, this video.
There is in India a wild beast, powerful, daring, as big as the largest lion, of a red color like cinnabar. To the end of its tail was attached the sting of a scorpion. Its face, however, is not that of a wild beast, but a man. In the language of India, it is called Marti Koras. So what the hell happened here? Let's have another chat about character design and Arknights. Since I have some hot takes this time, I'm going to start off with some friendly reminders.
Hot takes this time?
There are many ways to analyze a character's design, but what I'm looking for in particular is how well a character's visuals match their lore, personality, and story. Frankly, because that's what I find most compelling. As a history major, seeing all the different ways that artists use symbols and myths from
need not follow, but you must witness.
Bygone eras in modern ideas is fun. I mean, what else am I going to use a history degree for? The second reminder is that design is subjective. I'm going to be making arguments on why I think your waifu is shit, but we don't have to agree. As always, you can tell me how wrong I am down in the comments. Alright, let's start off this conversation by talking about the Manticore within Arknights. Who is she, what does she want, and why are her wings on her head like that? Anyway, unlike Eunectus, who had an entire event dedicated to her, a lot of Manticore's background is still shrouded in mystery. We know she was raised in Sargon, and we also know that while she was there, she was thoroughly trained in stealth warfare. And that's it. That is everything we know about Manticore's past. Because her lore is so sparse, most of the insights into her character have to be gleaned from dialogue.
Manticore's a puzzle box? That's an interesting take.
And her abilities. In particular, her originium arts are actually the center of her character, because she can turn completely invisible. Like many people on Terra, Manticore has a bad case of the magic rock cancer. Auripathy works in strange ways. Sometimes it gives you superpowers, and sometimes it turns you into Helen Keller. For Manticore, it was both a blessing and a curse. Her prowess at all things stealthy turned into full-blown invisibility, a powerful and rare trait. However, it's a power that Manticore has little to no control over.
I know that Sundisk is really good. I know that Sundisk is in Legends of Runeterra right now is funny.
It's currently unclear if she's actually invisible most of the time or if it's just some sort of side effect. But either way, even when she's desperately trying to be noticed by others, she can go ignored for hours, even by good friends. Spending a while like this has pretty much broken her communication skills, causing her to often come off as shy and awkward. Well, that is, if you can see her long enough to even start a conversation. In summary, Manticore is a shy assassin with a communication disorder that can't control her powers. The core conflict and through line of her character is that her power actively brings her emotional pain. She wants to be useful to others, but due to her low self-esteem, she thinks the only way that she can do that is if she continues to be invisible. So, now that we know who Manticore is supposed to be, let's take a look at her design, starting with the positives. The body language in her E1 art does a really good job at showing who she is. The arms are pulled up close to her chest, and she has a worried expression, which both convey her shy and closed-off personality. Her outfit is confusing. It's black at least, which is the color of stealth, but she has this white shirt and gold dog tags that are kind of showy. It shows a lot of skin, yet it has a warm fuzzy hood. We'll come back to this topic later, so put a pin in it for now. The outfit in her E2 art is much closer to what I would expect an assassin might wear. You still can't really tell that she's supposed to be invisible from either of the art, but the E2 art does match her lore a lot better. However, it's actually here in this picture where my major issue with Manticore rears its ugly head.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
Fire Emblem Awakening's Kellum, but a waifu? Yes, you are correct.
So, I get the Scorpion association. They are small little bundles of venom that often represent death itself. I still don't understand why they're on her head, but the bat wings make a lot of sense. Bats are classical creatures of the night that have strong ties to stealth. But what I really don't understand is why they didn't stop at either Scorpion or Batgirl. In other words, why is Manticore a Manticore? The Manticore not from Arknights is mainly found in Persian and Greek mythology, and it is a monster in the most classical sense. They are beasts with blood-red fur, 3 rows of teeth, and venomous spiked projectiles. Unlike its cousin the Sphinx, the Manticore does not use riddles, tricks, or traps. It simply kills people and then eats them whole. In fact, eating its prey whole is kind of its whole gig. Its original name in both Greek and Persian literally translates to man-eater.
So I will admit, and this is unlike something like it could go unnoticed rather than invisible. Yeah, I know. Yeah, she can't be noticed. She's like Kuroko from Kuroko no Basket. She's not like actually invisible. People just like don't notice her for whatever reason. Yeah, they just like tend to forget her and stuff like that.
From everything that we know about,
but I still just am confused, and this is unlike Snakes or something like that, where the Manticore is a pretty specific myth. Like, you know, the people, Eastern cultures do not view the Manticore differently than Western cultures, because it's a pretty narrow myth, and specifically Persian and Greek. And like, my main question is just why. It's just why. Like, and it's so hard for me to get over the fact that a person made the choice to do this. Characters aren't just born the way that they are because it sounded cool. I mean, I guess, but I think Batgirl or Scorpion Girl sounds kind of cool. But like the Manticore, like, why go out of your way to make an association with a myth that has nothing to do with the character? Again, it's like if I don't know if I actually left this joke in, but it's like if I made a character. It's like if I made a character and it was just a completely OC character that was a cool character. Like, I like Manticore's character. I actually really think that her character is compelling. Her story is compelling. It's like I made Manticore, and then I'm like, I'm just gonna name it Zeus, and then make him look like Zeus. And it's like, well, why would you do that? Why would you willingly make those connections to Zeus? And it's like, I don't know, I just like Zeus. And it's like, okay, I guess, like, all right, cool.
About the symbolism surrounding the Manticore.
You ever seen a Manticore IRL? Shit, you're right.
It's not really subtle or nuanced. It is a powerful beast to be feared and then sometimes slain by heroes of old. It is one of the many impossible animals that found itself in the pages of ancient bestiaries and in the bedtime stories of children so that they would not wander too far off into the forest. They are not assassins with communication disorders, so trying to reconcile this with this is going to be difficult. I mean, mythological manticores are symbols of raw strength, and this one's a dex build. Manticores are a type of chimera, meaning that they're a combination of different animals. In this case, it's usually a lion, bat, and scorpion, with sometimes a human, dragon, or snake thrown into the mix. There are many different iterations of the
I was super over level for this fight, by the way. I got lucky because I wanted footage of me fighting Sanctuary Guardian, and I had a character who had yet to do the DLC because it was a character from the original Dark Souls before the DLC was even released, and I just had never done the DLC on it. But the character was a giant dad build who was just super fucking over leveled. So I just went in, and this fight was a joke. Like, as you see, I beat the shit out of this boss.
Manticore. However, the lion specifically is the base of the animal and is almost never substituted out. This is likely because, as I mentioned, manticores are supposed to be feared, and lions are symbols of power, royalty, and confidence. All of the things that this manticore is not. And it seems like Hypergriff even understood how much this didn't match her character, because they relegated most of her lion association to this stand in her E2 art. And I can't help but look at this and wonder why. Let me take a second to be honest with you. I don't think Manticore's design is the worst in Arknights. I would go so far to say that I think Manticore's design is actually pretty good. But every time that I look at her for an extended period of time, I just get a little bit angry and confused. Her story and character would have been perfectly conveyed as a stealthy but shy bat, or a scorpion suffering from its own poison. So why did they go out of their way to make an association with a myth that represents all of the things that the character is not? Is there some secret Chinese myth about a ninja manticore that I didn't find? Because trust me, I searched for it. If you squint really hard, there is a possible reading to her design that makes everything make sense. Not as a manticore, mind you, but as a chimera. The term chimera originally referred to the chimera from Greek mythology. However, the meaning of the word really broadened over time to include any combination of animal. Griffins...
Oh, is the audio bugging again? Oh no. If the audio is bugging, that means I might have a, whatchamacallit. The audio is bugging, that means that there's a decent chance that, whatchamacallit. My internet gonna fucking DC again? Please, Zeus. Zeus, I'm sorry. Zeus, I'm sorry. I won't name my character after you, Zeus. Don't strike me down.
Even are all chimera. And if there's...
Oh, the audio volume's just really low. Okay. No, that makes sense. It's like popping?
One thing that this broad category has in common is that they're all mutts, literal half-breeds, meaning they share the symbolism of both of their animals. They are both noble eagles and powerful lions, intelligent humans and dangerous beasts, shy girls and deadly assassins. Manticore wants to stand out. She wants to talk to people and have friends, but at the same time, she's too afraid to give up her power to fade away into the background.
Like it's trying to skip. Interesting.
She wants to be flashy and stealthy, shy and powerful. I still don't have an explanation for these, but you get my point. This reading makes a lot of the disparate parts of her design make a lot more sense, but is it enough to actually fix her design in my opinion?
No.
You have to do some pretty serious mental gymnastics to get here, and none of those explain why her name is Manticore and not Chimera. And even if this charitable reading is what we're going for, then making her a shapeshifter would have made a lot more sense. Unlike Chimera, which are a fusion of beings, skinwalkers and werefurries can only take a single form at any time. The story
It's fucking the Van Helsing movie. Oh, that was a ride.
Stories about shapeshifters are often about the tension that comes from disparate worlds. And no matter what she wants, Manticore's story is not one of seamless combination. Manticore's obvious character arcs
People no, so I had thought about that from well, even then, again, how enemies feel about her would make sense, but I asked the question again, why not just a Batgirl or a Scorpion Girl? And if you don't want it to overlap with whatchamacallit, a Batgirl because of Warfarin, there's no Scorpion Girl inside of the whatchamacallit. Because Amiya's Chimera. Yeah, true. I didn't think about that at the time, but yes, true. I think they could have called her Shapeshifter though. They could have called her Shapeshifter or Skinwalker. Skinwalker has some negative connotations because it's a big miss. You could have gone with any of the other myths about again, I think that if you don't want to go with Scorpion for whatever reason, then you can go with any of like the werewolves or the shapeshifters, and that makes way more sense for a character, as I mentioned here, because Manticore's whole entire tension is about or Banshee possibly, the tension about the whatchamacallit, bugs are all sarcas. True, maybe a race thing, and she's from Sargon, not Sarkaz. Well, I mean, be fair, Sargon is mostly reptiles, and Manticore's not a reptile either. If anything, it should be a mammal. I think that you can still name her Chimera. Amiya is like the Chimera, but I mean, to be fair, Manticores are chimeras anyway, right? They're just a certain type of chimera. It's just it is just weird. If you think about it, the way she seems to operate is that she's a stealthy assassin, meaning that seemingly enemies disappear or eat whole. Well, no, so specifically, what I mean by eaten whole is so the idea of the Manticore got started because people would walk into like the Persian jungles, and their bodies would die and their bodies would never even be found. So what I mean by man-eater and by eaten whole is that like literally the reason the Manticore myth exists is because people's bodies would disappear and people would just go straight up MIA forever, because this was back in olden times. And so the myth was that, oh, it's this giant beast that can eat a man whole. It can eat a Manticore. Manticore meaning, again, directly translating into man-eater. So because all that Manticore does is she kills people, right? She uses poison and she kills people. Nowhere in her powers does it state that she like destroys their bodies entirely and dissolves them. Like she just kills people. I don't think that anywhere in like her bio or lore or like any of the story that she has does she state that like her powers like disintegrate the people's bodies or something, which would tie in again with the Manticore idea.
Are either finding a way to control her power and bridge those disparate worlds, or finding enough self-worth to give up her powers, knowing that she has people that see her more than just a weapon. Both of these arcs make a lot more
the same way you go into that bush and you don't come back out. You don't come back out, but if someone else goes, so again, very specific. The problem was that they did send out search parties for people like that, but their bodies were never found just because the technology wasn't there to find them. If Manticore and Arknights killed someone, and if you go into a bush and Manticore and Arknights killed someone, you would likely find that body because Manticore is a killer. She's kind of pseudo a contract killer. Where like she'd be in the bush, you can't see her, and then she'd kill you, and then she'd run away. But then you'd assumingly find her body and you find the poison, unless Manticore went away to hide the body, I guess. But the idea of the Manticore in mythology was that people would go and they would just get lost, and their body would probably be eaten by wild animals, and or they would just disappear into the jungle because there weren't things like phones or technology back then. And so you would go into the bush, and even if they sent out search parties, your body would just never be found. You were supposedly eaten by the Manticore.
sense for a shapeshifter who is stuck between two worlds than a chimera who is a fusion of them. Of course, the most likely option is that her character never changes because gachas are terrified of character growth, but I digress. Maybe, after all of that analysis, I still missed the point. Maybe there actually is an ancient ninja manticore myth. All that I can say for certain is that as a person who is a massive fan of mythology and history, Manticore's design utterly confuses me. If her design was just garbage, I could laugh and move on, but the issue is that it comes so close to passable or even greatness several times, and still somehow manages to drop the ball. No matter what I just said in this video, if you still like Manticore, good for you. You know what, as a gift, let me pass down an ancient Giguk proverb to you. Manticore is trash, and so am I.
I think that was definitely better than the Untitled video, because I don't regret anything I said in this video. I still strongly stand by the fact that I am just confused as fuck about why Manticore is a Manticore. This doesn't make sense to me, like on a very real level. Like it's just like I have tried to put myself in the designer's shoes, and the only thing that I can come up with is they thought it was cool, and that's fine. That doesn't mean the character design is good and a good representation of her character, but fair dubs. I think she looks cool. I still, you know what? I even stand by what I said in the Dio's opinions on every character. I think her skin looks cool aesthetically. I really like her skin. It looks awesome. I like this design, not from I don't think it's good. I just like it. I like looking at it. I like her clothes and her outfit a lot. I don't hate Manticore. I just don't understand why she's a Manticore. Like very simply, like I think that they could have stopped making her a Scorpion and or making her a Chimera or a Shapeshifter. They're just why a Manticore? I don't know. It improves her design since it's black. True. Well, and so again, you can ask me like, well, why is X this or why is X that or why is X that? One, a lot of the time, again, I said the real answer is going to be because people didn't think about it that because they thought because people don't think about character design the same way that I do. A lot of times, people will think, well, I think the character, I like foxes, so I will make a fox, or I like manticores, and I think they're cool, and I can't make a scorpion girl because the CEO told me that they have to be from Sarkaz, so I'm not gonna make a scorpion. I'm gonna make it a manticore. And I think that's kind of cool. I like it. I like the way it looks. Um, that's the real answer. For a lot of these, that's fine. I'm not saying that my way is better. I'm saying that I think that that is lazy character design. Because when you have something like, I'll say it again, you have something like Blumishine. I think Blumishine's character design is really good because there are a lot of aspects about the character design that are mixing together so that I immediately know what I'm getting into with this character, and it matches her character almost perfectly. This is a design that references what the character is supposed to be about pretty efficiently. A knight, you can very obviously tell it's a knight. It's not over sexualized. There's no boob plate because she's not a character that's supposed to be sexual. Loyal, she's supposed to be a knight. Her whole entire character is tied in very strongly to being a knight and what that means to her. Not only that, but what animal she's a horse, and I already said, what do knights have? What do knights ride? They ride horses. Horses are supposed to be, in general, very loyal beasts of burden. They are animals that we use to travel, carry things. And what are knights? They're supposed to be loyal because of chivalry. It just makes sense. Everything in the design comes together. Why are Zaya and Rakan? Hold on. Why are Zaya and Rakan birds? Because they're supposed to be birds of paradise or birds of love. They're supposed to be one-winged birds that cannot live without each other because each of them has one wing. It makes sense. Good character design. Like, I don't know. Like, it is what it is. I don't think that Manticore is a bad character. I don't think that her character design is bad. I just don't understand why, outside of the answer of I don't know, lol, because it looks cool. That Manticore is a Manticore. I don't think there's any reason for it. I think that you could have had a much more efficient design to convey the ideas that you wanted to with the character. Like Blemishine does, like Zion Rakan do, like Evelyn does. Say Evelyn all the time because Evelyn is a very good example of a sexy character that makes perfect sense that she's sexy. She's a literal succubus. Her job is suck the soul out of you, is to seduce you and then suck your soul out. Make her hot as hell. I don't know how they got away with this in with their rating, but that's what it is. That is just my opinion. That I think that things like Blemishine, Evelyn, and Zyra Khan are good character designs, and that I can only call Manticore mediocre if like slightly good. I think Eunectus is better than Manticore by far, because there's a lot I like about Eunectus. I just don't. I think that she's just an over sexualized design, which is a gotcha game. Human face stinger. A lot of the core. So you can change out a lot of what the Manticore means. To core. You can change out a lot of what the Manticore means. But almost always, the lion body is a core of the is a core part and a core aspect of the Manticore. Otherwise, you're talking about a different type of chimera. Even if you're going with the old Persian ideas of specifically just a human face and a lion body, still has the lion body. And they hide the lion body in the E2 art because lions represent everything that Manticore isn't. They literally had to go out and hide the third part of their character, the third part of the Manticore. The most obvious and popular version of the Manticore is Bat, Scorpion, Lion, and they have Bat and Scorpion because Bat and Scorpion makes sense for a character because she's an assassin. Lion doesn't. And if you're going to hide 1/3 of the animal that you're supposed to be a chimera of, maybe just don't make it a chimera. Maybe make it a bat or a scorpion. I don't know. Symbolizing an entire race and sound right? To some extent. To some extent. Symbolism is weird and can work. Very rarely are you going to get symbols that mean one thing to everyone, as we just ran into with snakes, right? So you can have snakes that mean a decent amount of different things to different cultures and different people at different times. Snakes mean a lot of different things to different people, and so you can still you can symbolize a whole entire race of people. So like all of the snake people can mean different aspects of what it means to be a snake in certain cultures. So you can have like Asclepius. I butchered that fucking name. And you could have Black Snake. You can have like the evil Black Snake. You could have Asclepius, which is the Greco-Roman idea of the white snake or the snake of healing. Two sides of the same coin because the venom is used for healing. Her body's lion. Her body ain't lying to me. Nice. Good meme. Edited. Let's watch me be wrong for 6 minutes. Let's watch me be wrong for 6 minutes.
So this happened. Man, it is always an exciting time to be an Arknights fan whenever there is an anniversary stream. This time we got a bunch of cool announcements, such as new skins, a permanent roguelike game mode, and Neural Alter, who, by the way, looks amazing. But the thing that surprised most of us was the official announcement that Arknights is now producing an anime. Now, my uncle does not work at Nintendo. I have no insider knowledge about the series. Yet, I still think it'd be a pretty fun idea to talk about the lore in order to make our best educated guesses. And yes, while I do think that speculation is fun for its own sake, there's also the added bonus that
has it been confirmed that this was the doctor's voice, by the way?
if I get something
In the trailer? I don't think anything's confirmed about it, is it?
perfectly right, I can gloat about it later. That applies to you as well, so you can make your best guesses down in the comments. The main takeaways from the trailer are that Amiya and Reunion are basically confirmed to be in it, and the anime is called Prelude to Dawn. The first impression might be to say that this is going to be a prequel due to the name. However, the other pieces of information that the video gave us directly contradict that. For starters, Amiya is a child, a fact that some artists need to be reminded of. If this truly was a prequel, she would have to be very young during most of the series runtime. And even if that's what they're going.
Has it been confirmed yet? I didn't think so.
Going for, Reunion is an even bigger problem lore-wise because they have not been around for that long. So the prelude in the title is most likely referring to the fact that the first couple chapters in the Arknight story is really an introduction to the world. The other option is that this is a prelude to a major arc that we haven't seen yet. For those not keeping up with the story at all, Chapter 8 has just concluded a pretty major arc throughout Arknights. So it's very unlikely, but still technically possible, that the anime is a prelude to a new major arc that we haven't seen yet in chapters 9 or 10 or whenever this comes out. If the most likely scenario does happen, and the anime is just covering chapters 0 through around 3, then oh god help them.
I still feel this way. I really don't know, because I think it's borderline confirmed at this point that it's going to be chapters like 0 to 4, and like good luck. Good luck. Hope it's good. Hope it's good. I sincerely, you know what? I pray for you. My thoughts and prayers.
Those chapters are pretty rough in terms of actually good story with a lot of exposition and pacing issues. But hey, I mean, if they actually pull it off, it will be a major win, because then I can finally tell people to just skip the first couple of stories.
What do you think about the Doctor character thus far in Arknights? No, as this video is going to go over, I think that it's going to be really rough for them to try to adapt the Doctor into an anime. I don't know what the hell they're going to do.
Watch the anime. Regardless of whether the series is set in the present or the future, I know for certain it's going to have one major issue that it can't escape, and that's you. You, yes you, are probably giving a writer at Hyperglyph somewhere a major headache right now. And by that, I mean the player character of the Doctor is a puzzling issue. Turning what is basically a silent protagonist into a fully realized character has not worked out so well in the past.
As it is right now, it's a me. A Mario. That's not the voice. You'll have to wait to hear.
So when's Amia gonna be voiced by Chris?
The voice, but
and while yes, you can pull out some ingrained biases that the Doctor holds, for the most part they are still a silent protagonist. They are much less an actual character and much more a stand-in for the players themselves. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, it works perfectly well for the game, but I don't know how well that's going to translate into an animated series. There are two obvious solutions for this issue. Solution number one is to make the Doctor an unimportant side character. This would be by far the easier solution, because it's basically what happens in the actual story of Arknights. The main character of most of the chapters is honestly not the Doctor, it's Amiya, Chen, or RIP. This would be a little awkward to adapt into a series. Like, imagine a scene where something epic or tragic.
Non-binary Doctor would be alpha. It'd be an extremely alpha move.
Is happening, and the Doctor is just standing there in the corner with no voice and no expression. But it would probably work well enough. However, this does not seem to be the path that Hyperglyph is going down. They want to do it the hard way. There's one piece of information that I purposely left out about the trailer. So we know not only does the Doctor have a voice, but she's a waifu. And this opens a whole other Pandora's box of issues. For starters, if they make the Doctor a fully fleshed out character with goals, emotions, and a voice, then who the hell is this? Are they in the same canon, or is this more of the multiverse that we saw with the Rainbow Six Siege event? Is the game itself, with its dialogue options, even canon anymore? Why does COB not have a canon?
Bro, wait. Give me a skin where COB has a canon. Please, make it a pirate skin. You could do it. It's so easy.
Even if Anime Doctor turns out to be a really interesting character, that's kind of the problem, because the Doctor isn't a character.
Given a passive role, FCO did it though. Yeah. No, I think that because like just with Gurako / Gudao in the Fate movies, you kind of like have to make these like bland characters into whatchamacallits, into you have to make these bland characters into like side characters, because if you try to make them the main characters, then you're gonna end up becoming Fire Emblem Fates with Orin, and oh god, don't do that. Wait, I thought, is Rainbow Six Siege not canon? No, yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Yes, Rainbow Six Siege is canon Arknights, yeah, because of the Multiverse 3, yeah.
They are at the same exact time a caring professional, a sarcastic asshole, and a mute. So I have no idea what their plans are if they're actually going down this path, and all I can do is wish the writers the best of luck. However, if you want my hot take, I still think that this anime will be a prequel. As I assume most if not all of you know, the Doctor was not always a blank vessel. Most of the characters that knew you before you lost your memories, such as W or ex-wife Chan, say consistently that you are a completely different person than who you used to be. While we do know that the Doctor used to be very...
Is it not canon? I thought it was canon. I'll deal with that later.
Different and also possibly committed war crimes, we don't know exactly what they used to be like. This is a mystery that has been hanging over our heads since Chapter 0, and so what better time to finally reveal all of that mystery than a big upcoming animated series? This would also carefully sidestep the Doctor issue. If it's the Doctor of the past and not the present and future, then both our Doctor in the game and the Doctor of the anime can exist within the same exact canon with no dissonance. Now, there are several issues with this crackpot theory, some of which I've already mentioned. A Mia with the same voice actor, and especially Reunion, won't work in a setting that's set too far in the past. However, the scene from the trailer could be from the end of the series, when the old Doctor has—
I'm on so much fucking copium at the end of this video. I'm on so much fucking copium. I'm like, no. Trust me. They hired 2 different voice actors for Mia, and the voice actor that they just hired back on for the normal one. It's just that the last episode of the anime. Okay, it's just the last episode. It's a bait and switch. I'm on so much copium.
already gone through whatever they go through and they've lost all the memories. The early promotional art would suggest that Reunion are major factors. However, we do live in a world where Marvel is fabricating whole entire trailers just to trick their audiences. And lastly, who doesn't want a scene where little Amiya is holding Cowset's hand and mispronounces your name? Instead of the prelude of a new story arc, what the title could have been referring to this whole time was the awakening of a new Doctor. The prelude to Dawn, if you will.
I still think it makes more sense for it to be a prequel, but I don't think that's what they're going to do. This video was like really innocuous. It was alright. I just kind of liked it. Well, no, it had like an energy about it. I kind of just want to rate it A tier. This video is just fun. I totally think I'm wrong. I think I'm 100% wrong. These videos are lying. Well, I mean, like not lying, but like it's borderline lying from copium I'm on. Oh, the Chen Alter video. Oh, a man could dream. True.
Take wait.
Oh boy, the Chen Alter video. This was after my 4-month break. This is when I came back. So this was the last video I had for the 4-month break, and then this is new me. This is part of my new content. More spice, by the way. After calling characters that people like bad, I do the spiciest thing ever and call Chen Alter good. God, I'm a fucking genius.
Let's me and you talk about skins for a little while. When they're not being found in loot boxes or $60 games, they're generally one of the most acceptable forms of microtransactions. No RNG, no effect on gameplay, just a good old purchase of a JPEG that makes the brain chemicals happy. But from a character design perspective, skins are weird, at least to me. I usually like to judge a design by how effectively it achieves its goal, and I think the goal of character design should be to convey what a character is about, a proverbial what the dog doing, if you will. But skins simply don't have that goal, because they're usually not even canon. They're not tied down
pop mains in chat
to the boring responsibilities of lore, backstory, and god forbid character growth. They exist purely for fun, and sometimes a lot of money. Skins can give designers
I have mild takes, Dio tells him so.
A lot of creative freedom, allowing for cyborg ninjas within high fantasy and eldritch horrors in more grounded settings. And personally, I find that awesome. Who cares if a summer skin is over-sexualized or a Halloween skin is really campy? That's explicitly the whole point, lord be damned. However, what if you wanted to make a skin canon, and turn what could have been a lighthearted cosmetic into the new canon representation of one of your most beloved characters? You saw the thumbnail, so you know where this is going. Let's have a chat about all of the negatives and positives of Chen Alter.
Chen Alter is a very fascinating example of something in Arknights that I find hilarious. Imagine it's arcane good. How funny would that be? That would be very funny and very unlikely, but it is what it is.
Chen the Hollanday was announced
hardworking, borderline obsessive, dangerously intuitive, physically lazy. Yeah. Is he really borderline obsessive? So I know the other ones make sense. I guess he's kind of obsessive.
1 year ago on Arknight's CN server to a somewhat mixed reception. This was somewhat unexpected given that Chen is one of the most beloved characters in Arknights. Some were mad that yet another limited unit was going to be meta-defining, and some were just joking about how she looked oddly familiar. But others genuinely felt betrayed in a way because their favorite stern Draco lady was being turned into a bikini-wearing gem.
Not a Draco lady, not technically a Draco lady. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So how out of left field
She's a fucking dragon in my heart, alright? She's like Charizard.
is Chulter's design really? Well, to answer that, we have to start with the basics. Who even was Chen before? Chen is not just another side character, she's one of the central driving forces in multiple main story chapters. So there's a lot of material that I could cover, and while that sounds like fun, it would take way too long and is something that has already been done by other handsome fellows on this website. But to summarize, Chen is the no-nonsense sheriff in town with a troubled past and a big iron on her hip. That was only partially a joke. Perhaps the most important thing to note about Chen
She is a dragon, just the water spitting kind.
is that she is the half-sister of Tallulah, you know, the main antagonist of the first 8 chapters. And as you can imagine, this caused her childhood to be on hard mode. As a result of this, she had to grow up rather fast, and when we meet her in the story, she can come off as cold and commanding. At her core, Chen is a good person who just wants to help others, but life has taught her that good intentions simply don't do enough in a world of red tape and jerk snakes, so she hides that soft underbelly behind a somewhat cold exterior. She's kind of a tsundere. This core tension defines a lot of who she is and why she does the things that she does.
Oh wait, what's the best ship in Arknights? And man, actually, I don't actually know the. I think it's probably still Saria. I think it's still probably Saria Silence. Lapland, Texas. Lapland, Texas is a little cursed. Lapland, Texas is a little cursed.
She joins the Lungming police because she wants to help people, but quickly finds herself wrapped up in politics and conspiracy, unable to even help the large infected population within her city due to laws
Bruce Fang is kind of okay. That's based.
enacted by her own family. Over the course of many chapters,
Living in Elden Ring together. God damn it.
and with a lot of exposure to the ball of optimism known as Amiya, she eventually sticks up for herself. She confronts her father, quits the police, and saves her sister, finally living up to the hero of justice she probably always wanted to be. In the most recent chapter, Chen has come full circle, and seems much more open and free to act on her strong sense of justice. With all that being said, does it make any sense that after a time skip, we find that she's playing around in a bikini and has traded her precious dragon katana away for a squirt gun? Well, yes, actually. I think that Chen Alter's design, while not perfect, is unironically quite good. Chen Alter is a rather logical next step for a character like Chen. Her whole life she's been restricted and restrained by outside forces, so it's actually quite heartwarming to see that she's finally got a chance to literally let her hair down and have some fun. Within the story,
I think that like, a lot of people ask about like because the main thing is like, why does she look like Blaze? Or like, I think her looking like Blaze is just very unfortunate, because the idea of a character literally letting their hair down is very old, specifically a woman letting their, like, a very, very, very old. But it's just unfortunate that Chen with her hair down looks like Blaze. It is that's rough, buddy.
Story of Docilis Holiday, she can still be hard-headed and stubborn, but she also has a more open and friendly demeanor. I mean, she managed to power creep Silver Ash with a squirt gun, so she's doing pretty alright for herself. What I'm basically trying to say is that Chen in a bikini is wholesome to me, but what I'm not saying is that Chulter was a perfect idea. While I like her design, it really does not scream the official current design for Chen until Chen Alter 2, where she fires swords from her guns, is released. This is less of a problem with Chulter herself and more of a problem with the precedent that other altar units have set within Arknights. Previous altars such as Lava or Scotty feel much more like actual permanent steps forward for their respective characters, where Chulter is more like a fun side story. And I feel like a lot of people were just disappointed that they didn't get the more fully realized hero of justice that we'll likely encounter.
When are we gonna get the FGO Arknights crossover with Chenia Alter, who breaks both of the metas of both of the games? Chenia Alter is released in both FGO and Arknights at the same time, and she can project her swords from in unlimited blade words. All right, so in Arknights, she like you drop her down on the same tile as a singular enemy, and both her and the enemy just disappear from the map. And they're gone forever, and they're exiled from ever seeing play again. And in FGO, it's fuck. She's definitely an arts unit because she deals arts damage, right? It's a dumb joke.
In future chapters. At the end of the day, even while I like Chulter's design, I must admit that it might have been better off as some kind of fancy new live 2D art skin. But as always, these were all just my opinions, and so if you disagree with them, you can tell me how wrong I am in the comments. Before you do though, we all have to admit at least on one thing. Ducky is obviously the new best girl.
No, I think that I don't know. I think that Sculptor is a quote unquote step forward. It's just that it's not as big as a step forward as many of the other alters, right? Like Scotty, Neural, and Lava all actually like take permanent steps forward to their character that makes sense. Where Chen, like it makes sense that this is the direction that her character went, but Chen on Holiday is not like doesn't feel right for that to be like the permanent Chen that's in our collection at the moment, right? Like that feels vaguely weird, and I hope that they don't do other alters for other summer units because it only gets worse from here. I think this is a fine video. I think this is probably B tier. Yeah, it's a half step. Yeah, yep. She literally loses her mind. Fair enough. Mizuki's new best girl. I don't know. Rubber Ducky's kind of cool. Oh, I was very confused about what was going on here. Okay, I was like, why are there two videos? And I forgot my power went out.
Pointed.
All right. This came out pretty recently. It's the new hot off the presses. It's been a long time coming. I gotta put what in D? Put this in D. Put this in D. The one I regret the most is probably this. I don't know. We'll do this later. So, have you read Chapter 9? No, I have not, because I'm going to do it on stream. Well, I'm not going to read Chapter 9. What you said about Cruz makes this video regret.
I'm disappointed. I've been making videos for a while now.
Hey, we just watched
I have
that.
not gotten cancelled or even into any drama a single time. So instead of waiting for the drama to come to me, I shall come to it. Since this is my first time, let's start with a real spicy topic. A topic that's sure to draw in all the viewers. Oh, I don't know, how about my semantic disagreement with Yi over the existence of the category known as boss killers within Arknights? Oh yeah, it's all coming together. So this video is kind of a response to Yi's video, Boss Killers Don't Exist. I say kind of because I've been looking for an excuse to talk about how weird
I'm looking for trouble, but if I can't find it, I'll create it. True.
categories and genres are ever since my VN video. I assumed no one would want to watch that, so this proved as a very convenient way to attach my weird obsession to Arknights. So all jokes aside, I have no real issues with Yi.
I'm actually surprised. He just took it really well. He's like, yeah, I agree. And I'm like, shit, that's not how the game is supposed to be played. Like, he was actually like, really, whatchamacallit, really calm about the thing. He's like, yeah, it is what it is.
As I'll talk about later, I actually agree with most of his video, and I've enjoyed many of his other videos. He also uploads a lot more consistently than me.
It is what it is.
So while you're watching his video on the topic, something that I encourage you to do before finishing mine, then you should hit that red little button of happiness over there. Let's start off by taking a look at how and why Yi arrived at the conclusion that boss killers simply don't exist within Arknights. First, he notes that boss killers are defined as units that deal a lot of damage within a small window of time. Next, he points out that things like buffs, debuffs, and enemy variety play a huge part in determining the best possible operators for defeating a boss. Specifically, he brings up the issue of Exusian. She's a unit that is often seen as having low or even inconsistent damage, but can become a drastically better unit when certain factors are added to the equation. So the conclusion that Yi comes to is that boss killers don't really exist within Arknights, and that players should really think for themselves instead of religiously following tier lists and guides in order to defeat difficult stages. Now I actually agree with almost everything I just outlined. I especially agree with what I assume was really the main argument of the video, that being, if you want to actually get better at Arknights, you can't just follow what the community says blindly.
Yeah, this is like what I thought the main point of his video was, and I think it's like a pretty good point. And he's talked about this before. He talks about like there's another video that he specifically nails on this point, where there's a decent subsection of people in Arknights that just don't want to play Arknights, and will just look up guides, and that's fine. but because that's a decent majority, not majority, but there's a decent populace within the community that's like that, it can get rough for certain aspects of the whatchamacallit, certain aspects of idea to get circulated within the community. Like again, the fact that most people thought that Exusi or Exusi was bad for a while, where that's probably not true. Well, certainly not true. Exusi is pretty good, if not at worst decent. But because certain memes get populated in the community because of I don't want to like call out anybody's names or anything, but certain ideas can get populated in the community when the community is like,
Except me, of course. Since Arknights is a pretty consistently difficult game, guides and tier lists will naturally follow. But when the community is so focused on only that type of content, it's really easy for labels such as best unit in the game to not really paint the full picture. And sometimes it can even trick players into thinking they have to roll for units they really don't. All that being said, boss killers still absolutely exist in Arknights, just as they do in any game with any boss. De jamais explicar. Language
apparently I mispronounced it horribly, but it is what it is. I only took 1 year of Spanish in college. I don't fucking know Spanish.
is weird. Like, really weird. And English is no exception. I mean, buffalo, 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 buffalo is a grammatically correct sentence. But this is nowhere more evident than in the case of categories, such as genres or classes. If you zoom out on any category from afar, it seems to make perfect sense. Visual novels are just novels with a visual component. However, when you zoom in and actually try to rigidly define any of the rules for a category, everything comes tumbling down. For example, Lord of the Rings is a novel, so are the films not just novels with a visual component? That's obviously an...
Alright, what do we think, chat? Lord of the Rings movies visual novels? Huh? 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 I mean, are they not a novel, but with visuals? That's all I'm saying.
Extreme example. I'm not actually trying to say that the Lord of the Ring movies are visual novels, but my point remains the same. Any category falls into this weird gray area that makes no sense if you look at it for long enough. Is Dark Souls a Metroidvania? Is Hollow Knight a Souls-like? Is a tank still a tank if it's dealing more damage than my dumbass? And to bring us all the way...
This clip is so rough. This clip is so rough. I should stop playing League of Legends. This clip is so rough. It hurts me.
Is a tank still a tank if
What
it's
the fuck
dealing
am I
more
doing? What the fuck am I doing?
damage than my dumbass?
Why did I dive the Malphite like that? He even emotes at me.
And to bring us all the way home, is Exusi still a boss killer if she can...
We were just having 1v1. That was a casual 1v1s, by the way. That was not like I did not int that in a ranked game. It should be noted. Me and a friend of mine were doing 1v1s. I overestimated my own damage on Akshan.
Only kill low armor bosses while under the influence of buffs. All of this can be overwhelming and frustrating, and so I understand the temptation to say that a category just doesn't exist. Because they kind of don't. They don't have any real basis in reality, and they evolve and adapt with society, so it can be impossible to pin one down. There's a line in Yee's video that displays perfectly my point.
Saying, oh, X who is only a boss killer in such and such scenario ruins the purpose of the term boss killer, so you can't do that.
My response to Yee's question here, and a TLDR for the whole video, is Chad, yes. Who are the boss killers in Arknights? Is Exu still a boss killer? Is Cruz a boss killer?
This is a cursed image. This is my second most cursed image.
No, but aside from that last one, I don't have all the answers. Who fits into any given category is something that is up for constant debate, and as games are patched and metas evolve, so will the categories. But boss killers will always exist, as long as Arknights keeps making bosses to kill.
No, because movies don't have any text. So if you turn on subtitles... It's okay. It's like kind of just the continuation of the whatchamacallit, but I did like this video. Is this the tier list? What do we think? I think it's probably about right. Nothing need changed here? guess I can delete the actual regret video. Actual regret tier. Go. Any objections to this? Oh, wow, I got here just in time. I guess you did. As Soul Search says about the Manticore video. Why? So all in all, this was a little fun experiment, as it were. Oh, so I think that in total, I enjoyed my first year on YouTube, as it were. I don't have any plans to quit, but I also don't have any plans to go full time. So we're gonna stay in this weird gray area that we're in right now, where sometimes you get videos, sometimes you don't, and that's the way it's gonna be. Notably, I have like right now, I have 3 different videos uploaded onto the channel that can go out whenever I want. I can literally press a button and you get 3 more videos. I'm getting that for at least a day, but it's been fun. I think that I've learned quite a lot about like a whole bunch of stuff. But this is a very fun hobby of mine that I would like to enjoy keeping on. Yes, this was a very long stream. This was the longest stream I've ever had. Unfortunately, it's cut into 2 parts, so it doesn't look like it's the longest stream I've ever had. But it's been a fun year, and if there's one thing I've learned is like a wrap-up, as it were. That this song is cursed as fuck. Here's to another wonderful year of me not uploading for 2 months. And I guess I'll talk to you guys later. Cool. Long ass stream. I did not eat today. I'm so fucking hungry. Let me turn on my... Oh, wait. I gotta take a picture of this real quick. It could have been better, but oh well. Ba-da-da. There we go. It's official. The pact has been sealed. And thank you all for not only coming by, but best streamer plans for dumb. Thank you all for not only coming by, but thank you all for watching any of the videos, etc., etc. Watching the streams. The Nuzlocke stream was probably my funny. I think the Nuzlocke streams were probably my favorite things that I've done all year. The Nuzlocke streams were super fun, and I hope I continue the Solog if Polarisu can get his connection problem solved out. It was like watching the 3 seconds you managed to watch the stream. I'm surprised that I keep seeing the same people sometimes in my chat. I'm surprised that a lot of you have stuck around, especially after the Great Purging. That was me not uploading for 3 or 4 months. Like Dimdom, Dento, Darkry, Soul Surge, a lot of you people. Soul Surge specifically, but he still had the My Neighbor Totoro icon. Or what? No, that was no, sorry, not Soul Surge. That was Bubble. Sound Bubble. Oh no, I haven't seen Sound Bubble in the chat in a while. I guess Soul Surge and Sound Bubble messed up. I'm so sorry, Soul Surge. Like a lot of you have stuck around here for quite a long time. We're waiting on Neko. Maybe Neko will come back after April 1st. Am I right? And not only that, but thank you to a lot of the people that are new here, people that are maybe coming from different channels. I know that for whatever reason, I know the reason why is because this is a whatchamacallit, a video, collaborative video, but this video is doing really well. Maybe you're new here, coming from like Cookie's video, Cookie's channel or something. Hi, I'm Dio. I'm the Scuff Dark Knights guy that makes commentary on stuff that no one cares about, and I hope to see you all in the future. Never hitting 10K for the karaoke stream, by the way, you idiots.